This is Matt Brown, and you're listening to Just a Good Conversation. Nick Fuscardo spent more than 30 years coaching baseball at Fullerton College, picking up over 600 wins along the way. Coach was just inducted in the 2013 Hall of Fame at the college. Nick grew up in Ohio. Even though baseball was his first love, he would play football with his friends any chance he could until the late hours of the evening.
The town, Fallsby, was like a huge sports town. You know, they loved their football. On Friday nights, the town would close down, and everybody would go to the football game. Stores would close, you know, and you'd go to the football game and watch it. All of us guys, we play rough and tumble in the end zone, you know, just knock each other all around, you know. And so, yeah, you're always a sport. We don't have to, when it snowed and stuff, and we'd go up to watch a basketball team and walk up street. It was like an ideal place to grow up in.
I'm Matt Brown, host of Just a Good Conversation. Take a listen to our archives. My guests have ranged from Hall of Fame basketball players, chefs, sports writers, and Associate Vice President of Health and Well-Being at Cal State Dominguez Hills, Dr. Tiffany Herbert.
Some people are depressed, but how would you, like, what makes it depression versus sadness? I also believe that saying I'm depressed is sort of external, like it happened to you, where saying I'm sad is a more vulnerable statement to make. So I think there's some distance in being able to say the label versus the feeling.
The rest of my conversation with Dr. Herbert can be found on our archives at justagoodconversation.com. Let's take a quick break for my sponsor before diving into my conversation with Nick Fuscardo. I have got a Hall of Famer on the podcast, a brand new Hall of Famer. How are you, Coach?
I'm great. I'll tell you what a great honor that was amongst all those great people on the wall. For me, a little Italian guy from Fallsby, West Virginia, and to be named to the Hall of Fame has been just absolutely a terrific thing. It's just been an honor, and I was overwhelmed by it.
Did you get a call or an email? How'd they tell you?
I got a letter and from Phil in the committee that said I was going to go on the Hall of Fame on April 14th. This was probably about 6-7 months ago. So pretty exciting, you know. I said, me? I said, no, you got to. No, I don't. You know, first of all, I said, yeah, nah, I'm good, you know. And they said, no, you're on.
I'm good. You're going in.
I know. So I said. So I was just overwhelmed by it. I had family come out here for it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was really, really cool thing.
Yeah, you can't win 665 games. Is that it?
Well, that's what I want to have.
You've got to be in the Hall of Fame with those kind of numbers, sir.
Yeah. Actually, we had a few more because they didn't count some other leagues like our. That's when I went away and coached. But hey, I wanted to win a title every year, and we won a lot of games, and I had a lot of great players, and Fullerton College is a great place to be.
Was it a little emotional getting that letter, you know, that you're in the Hall of Fame? Because you don't get it when you're 20.
Yeah.
You get it, you know, later in life. You get those kind of accolations. Was it kind of like, wow, honey, like, wow, we've done it. This is a huge achievement in your life?
Yeah. Well, we got the letter in the mail.
The mail, that's even better. It's not an email,
better.
Real paper.
Real paper, and I opened it up and I read it, and I read it again. And I think Susan was sitting at the sink, and I said, honey, you got to read this. And I said, I'm going to the Hall of Fame. And she said, oh, my God. So she got all weepy, you know, and I said, that's pretty cool, you know. And I said, so I called Phil and say, Phil, are you serious? And he goes like, what do you think? I said, I'm excited. I said, I'm really excited, you know. I don't know if I deserve it or not, but I'm excited. And so, I call my, I got a cousin, he's like a brother to me, you know, and I'm coming out. And so he brought over 4 or 5 of my, you know, cousins flew in, and we stayed here. So it was a fun weekend, you know.
Where were you born and raised? Are you a local kid?
Oh, no. I was born in Steubenville, Ohio. Dean Martin, you ever heard of Dean Martin?
Yeah, I think I know him.
You ever heard of Nick Fuscardo?
Yes, I know him as well.
Not so much, yeah. But yeah, it's
he was not in the Rat Pack, but he was close.
He could sing. He loved Frank Sinatra, you know. So yeah, we had.
So you're an Ohio kid.
I was born in Ohio, and I raised right across the river. You know, West Virginia is like the northern panhandle.
Right.
And the Ohio River goes right between Steubenville and Fallsby, and my family lived in Fallsby. So I was raised in Fallsby till I was 12 years old. My grandma and grandpa both came from Italy. And I've got a great story about my grandfather, was a stud. Both of them, both grandma and grandpas, my mom and dad's, both came from Italy.
Okay.
So we lived in an apartment behind the store above the garage. My mom, dad, and me, and then my brother came along, and it was like we ate at my grandma's every day, and it was one of the greatest times of my life, And small town, all my cousins, all my friends. So played ball every day. In the winter when it was cold, we shot hoops. and so,
how big was the town?
There was like 3,500 people to start with.
My God, you probably knew everybody.
We did. We knew everybody. As a matter of fact, you walked up streets, like to go to the movies or something, and all the Italian ladies are sitting on their porch, and they go, "Nikki, where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, Miss Jelly, I'm going up to the movies." She goes, "Okay." And they all had eyeballs on you, So, but it was back in a safe time, But
neighborhood watch, all of them.
Exactly. And don't mess with those Italian women because they'll kick your butt in the heart.
They'll bust you hard.
Yeah. So it was a really cool thing. My dad worked in the steel mill like all the guys. We lived in the lower end. We were proud of that. That was the tough guys,
Right.
All the mill people lived there, and up street was the park, and all the professional, the dentists, and
right.
They lived up there, and so it was a good place to grow up in.
And you were there till 12, and then.
Yeah. I was playing Little League Baseball.
Okay.
My last year at 12, I was on the All-Stars. And my dad came home one day and he said, "Son, we're going to California." I said, "For this summer to go for a vacation?" He goes, "No, we're going to move out there." And I said, "Oh, no." I think I cried. I said, "I don't want to. Dad, I'm on the All-Stars. We're playing." So.
What was the move for? Did you get another job?
Well, the steel industry is like, they have strikes, and then they have layoffs, and then they have, they close the mill down, and then they reopen it. And he's one of his buddies. As a matter of fact, Leo Holtz, you know that name?
Yeah.
Lou Holtz.
Right.
Well, Leo Holtz's nephew was Lou.
Okay.
And he lives in the town. And my dad and he worked together. So he and this other guy named Mike Boney, they came to California, and to get a job. And he said, "We're going to go out. If I find a job, we're moving out there." I was thinking, please God, don't let him find a job out there, And man, it worked out pretty good. But he found a job, and he called on me, and I said, and we were going to play in the state, playoffs down in Beckley, West Virginia, and he said, "We're going." And I said, and then I think I cried,
Sure.
When we left.
Well, it's all your buddies, all your friends. That's your world.
Exactly. And it was like, it's so funny because I go back every year for my family reunion, and there's a kid named Ray Prannell. Ray was my best friend. And Ray, he went to West Liberty, where I ended up going back to school after El Camino. And he was all conference football, basketball, and baseball stud. Ray Prannell, he was one of my best friends, And so I'd go back there, and he goes, "I can't believe you moved out there. You were going to be our quarterback. We needed you, And I said, "Yeah." And then he tells me when I was West, he goes, "You came back here 1 year too late. We would have won that." Yeah, so it was kind of fun growing up with those guys. They're still lifelong friends, and I still see them. A lot of guys are starting to pass away, which is sad, but that's what happens.
Right. How did you find baseball? Was it something your father enjoyed?
My father was a big sports fan. Yeah, he was. And like I said, there was a place at the lower end of town, right behind my Aunt Rosie's house, and it was a big field, and we played there. It was a ball field. And should I tell them about the Scott lumber?
Sure.
There was a lumber company, and we'd go up and get boxes of sawdust, and we'd line the fields, the third base line, everything, and that was our ball field. We even made a backstop, and
really,
yeah, we got some wire and wood and put it up there, and we played every day. And some days there'd be like 10, 12 guys down there. Some days there'd be 15, and then we'd have games, and it was cool. Some days there'd be like 5 or 6, and we'd just make up games, So I played baseball every day. I remember put my tennies on, gone. I'd go down to the field. My grandma owned a store. There were a lot of Italians living down there, and they grew tomatoes, and they had tomato gardens. We'd go in and steal tomatoes, and then we'd have that for like a snack, and they'd chase us out, and we'd go, "Oh, they didn't get us today either." So it was really a fun thing, fun place to be, you know. And then we came out to California, and I knew no one, not one person that I know, and it was tough.
It's tough at 12, right? You
Yeah,
don't
missed
know.
my family, you know, missed the holidays.
Just you and your brother.
Me and my brother. You know, me and my brother we lived together. I mean, we stayed with my mom and dad, but we just missed it a lot, you know. And I couldn't wait to start playing. So,
What drew you to baseball more than anything?
well, you know, it's funny because the Pittsburgh Pirates are real big back there,
Okay.
and everybody liked the Pirates, you know, and I did too. I saw my first major league game, the Pirates and the Braves, up at old Forbes Field,
Whoa.
and
Was Clemente playing?
Clemente was playing, the great one.
Whoa.
Yeah, he was something, you know.
He must have been young, right?
He got him from the Dodgers,
Yeah.
which I found out later when I grew up, and
What
I
a
said,
mistake, huh?
"What did my Dodgers do? They gave him up because, you know."
They didn't know.
Yeah, they did. That was a good move, but yeah, the Pirates were big there, and all my buddies were Pirate fans, Cleveland Indian fans, which is up the road.
Right.
And I love Mickey Mantle, though, man. Mickey Mantle was my guy, you know. So I said, I'm not rooting for those. I'm rooting for the Yankees. So I rooted for the Yankees. And so, and my dad went to Detroit in a bowling tournament. And he came home and he had a Detroit Tigers T-shirt for me. Tigers had a tiger on the front, and, you know, and it was like, oh. And then he bought me a glove, and the baseball glove was it was an oldie but goodie, but it was a new one.
Right.
Peanuts Lowry was
wow.
the glove, yeah. And so it was my glove, and I used that when I first. And I just loved playing. It was such a fun thing to do, you know. And we had no yard. My grandma had a store, and then you walked up a cement walkway, and upstairs in the back on the garage was our house.
That was it.
And then, so we would go down to the ball field and play down there. And everybody knew where to find us. If you had a problem, come see us. We're down there.
Sure, we're down there playing ball.
Yeah. So, that's what we did there. And it was a really a cool place to live. You know, a small town in Fallsby, West Virginia, 3,500.
Did sports help you make friends when you came out to California?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the town, Fallsby, was like a huge sports town. You know, they loved their football. On Friday nights, the town would close down, and everybody would go to the football game. Stores would close, you know, and you'd go to the football game and watch it. All of us guys would play rough and tumble in the end zone, you know, just knocked each other all around, you know. And so, yeah, you're always a sport. We went up to, when it snowed and stuff, and we'd go up to watch a basketball team and walk up street. It was like an ideal place to grow up in. You know, so, but yeah, and I got that. I used to wear my Pee Wee Reese, my Tigers and my Peanuts Lowry glove, and I'd go down and play every day. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
When you come out to California, how is sports for you then? Is it a different atmosphere? Because obviously you're not in a small town.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're now in Southern California, a lot more people. What was that like?
Well, it's funny because I went to Catholic school.
Okay.
You know,
Shocking
news, you know. And so I went to Nativity School in Torrance, and I said, "You guys have a football team?" "Yeah, we have flag football." I go, "What's flag football?" I had no clue, because back east, you strap it on, you got the helmet, shoulder, and you played football in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And so now all of a sudden I'm out here and they're playing flag football, and I said, "I hate flag football," you know. So I was on the team, but I hated it, you know. And then, so, but anyway. But that summer, I was going to play. I played Babe Ruth League.
Okay.
And this is an awesome story. My dad comes home and he says, "I'm working with a guy named Venable, Al Venable, and Al Venable was a coach for the Oaks. No, he is a coach on that team, and he said he wants you on his team." And I said, "Oh, okay." He said, "But what you got to do is," he says, "don't look so good at the tryout, you know." And I said, "Pop, what do you mean don't look so good at the tryout?" I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because then nobody knows you, and then he'll pick you on his team." And I said, I don't know if I can do that one, you know." And he said, "Well, just, you know," he said, "do what you want to do." I'm just telling you, he just told me. I said, "I never liked that Venable guy after that, you know." But I went out and did my thing, and I got on the Oaks. And so they tried to snooker me, and get me on that team.
He's trying to get you to throw a tryout before you were 15.
Really, but I made some great friends, in that league that summer. And I went to high school to Sarah High, and Torrance High was like, I knew all the guys there because I grew up in Torrance, and so that was really a cool place to be as well.
3-star athlete?
No, I didn't play. I played basketball, but I didn't play football.
You didn't play football in high school?
No. I was going to play. We lived in Torrance.
Okay.
And I had no ride home. I'm sure that I could have hitchhiked because back then you could have. But I didn't.
How far away from you were from the house to school?
Oh, probably 5, 6, 7 miles.
Oh, that's pretty far.
8 miles, yeah. And I could have done it. I did walk home, once or twice.
Jesus, that must have been a good hour.
Longer, probably. But yeah. So then about my junior year, one of the guys had a car. He lived down in East Torrance, and he used to come up, pick me up on Hawthorne Boulevard, and would go to. I was too young to get a car, so.
But you stuck with baseball. There was no way you were going to leave baseball. That was your love?
I love baseball. That's my favorite sport, of course. And I did play basketball at Sarah, but I was a little guard, But I'll tell you this, too, because, I love baseball. And I played, and I thought I was pretty good, So I go to Sarah, they have tryouts. I go out to tryouts. And we had a coach who was just come out of the Army. He was Marines. His name was Mr. McCafferty.
Oh, boy.
And Mr. McCafferty, he used to make us, we had him for PE. We used to have to march. Well, that was part of our deal,
Yeah, the Korean War.
Yeah. I said, whatever, So he was our coach, So we practiced like on the Gardena Armory. We had a field back there because we,
right.
That was for the young, for the freshman team or whatever you call it. So anyway, I get cut. Mark, I got cut from the baseball team my freshman year. And I was going, I got cut? I said, so I went home and I was like down because it was like losing my best friend,
Sure.
So my dad goes, what's wrong, son? I said, hey, Pop, I said, I got cut from the baseball team. He goes, you did? My dad was pretty smart, He said, so what are you going to do? And I go, what do you mean? What am I going to do? Go talk to the coach? No, the coach cut you. He said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll guarantee you I'll never ever get cut again, ever. And I'd go home, and I would throw a ball against a wall, and I had a rope. I had it in the garage. I tied a base. I drilled a hole in a baseball. Bam, I hit that ball. I got crocked a couple times. Everything came back. And so, but I played, I threw a golf ball against the wall and short hopped it. And I think it really helped me out, but I really missed playing. I never even went and saw my team play at Sarah that first year. Screw you guys. Well, the next year I went out and I made the team. As a matter of fact, Patty Sexton, who's a ticket gal at Cal State Fullerton, I went to school with her husband.
Okay.
He went to Sarah, John Sexton. He became a dentist. So he goes, how come you never come to my office? I said, I don't want your hands in my mouth. I said, I'll tell you that right now. And so he goes, well, come on in. So I said, all right. So I go to see him. He used to be up on the harbor, up on Whittier Boulevard. So I went in to see him. And so he goes, hey, he tells his assistant, he goes, give me that extra long needle, because he said, this guy here beat me out for a position. I got cut and he made it, And I said, John, if you hurt me, I'm going to kick your butt right in front of all your girls here.
He still remembers that.
Yeah. He was just joking, of course.
Sure.
I told him after, you're a non-athlete.
You weren't any good anymore.
If I would have beaten you, I wouldn't have beat you out. I would have quit, And, but anyway, yeah. So I made the club and end up making the varsity but I played basketball. I got to tell you a funny one though. The Lakers were in, Hot Rod Hundley, Jerry West, and those guys. Hot Rod. I was up watching a game up at the sports arena. Here comes Hot Rod down the middle, 3-on-1. Goes around his back. He goes around his back again, looks to his left and flips the ball to his right. And I go, oh, love that play. That's me. I'm going to do it. So practice at Sarah, maybe the next day, we're doing 3-on-1s. I'm going down the middle, driving down the middle. I go around my back, and the ball hits me in the butt and it falls down. And I'll never forget, my coach is sitting there, and he has Coach Bill Sanchez. He says, can you tell me what the hell that was? And I said, Coach, I saw Hot Rod Hundley did that. He goes, I don't ever want to see that again. So basketball wasn't my forte, but
Yeah, your Italian butt is not Hot Rod Hundley, so don't try that.
exactly. So anyway, that was, in basketball, I played it, I loved it. I wish I would have played football after I didn't play. I was because my mom and dad loved, football as well, but I didn't. If I had anything to do over, I'd go back. If I'd go back to there, I would play football.
You were an infielder in baseball?
I played shortstop.
Okay.
And
decent hitter?
Yeah, that's okay. That's pretty good. And
contact hitter? How'd you kind of play the game?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. When we had a guy named Johnny Biro, he was our coach as a junior. I loved it. I learned a lot from him, and we had a good core of guys that were all in the same class. So when we became seniors, we got a new football coach. His name was Hub Mikowski, and Coach Hub took the baseball team. We'd go out there, do some calisthenics and get loosened up, play catch, take a little batting practice, hit a few ground balls. He goes, all right, bring all the gear in. And so we'd go. Our intent was to win the Catholic League Championship, and this guy's going to chase us off the field after about an hour and a half. So we had, Joey Moore, Johnny Ransom, John Torok, and we went to coach and said, Coach, could we leave the bats and balls out here? And he goes, what for? We're gonna go a little longer. Okay, he's all right, but don't lose any balls. Okay, So what we did was, and I swear this is honest to God truth, So we would give each other signs. So Joey Moore's the leadoff hitter. I hit second. So Joey's on first, but I look at him and he'd go to rub his pant down his legs, and that meant he's gonna go. So I'd protect him, If he went to his hat, I would go hit and run, H hat and run. And so what I'd do is I'd hit the ball right field. He'd go first to third. We coached ourselves, and we won the Catholic League that year. It was the coolest thing, So
did you find that almost your first steps into coaching?
Probably unconsciously,
right,
or subconsciously, which
just kind of quietly evolving, like kind of taking that kind of position of coaching in the, your club.
Well, I think that definitely had it was a factor, because all of a sudden you start thinking, hey, we're trying to win a game by doing some things, and in practice we would do relays, and so I think that did play a big part in what I wanted to do. But with that in mind, I came home one day from school, and my mom says, "Son, what do you want to do? What do you want to study in college?" And I said, I don't know why. I said, I think I want to be a coach. And she says, oh, no. She said, you got to be a pharmacist. And I said, Mom, I can't even spell pharmacist, I said, what's the because we didn't have computers. So I said, I got to look at this. So I went to the encyclopedia. P-S-P-H. And I found it, pharmacist. You got to go to school for 12 years to be a pharmacist. I said, geez, 12 years. I said, nah, Mom, I want to be a coach. And I became a coach. And the other thing that helped me do that is at Sarah, we had a guy named Al Fiola.
Yeah.
And Coach Al Fiola was awesome. I just loved that guy. And they had such a great rapport, with each other. And I thought, so I want to do this. And I swear to God, that's when I decided I wanted to teach and I wanted to coach.
Seeing Al and his guys, that was kind of a light bulb for you?
Yes. That thing went off, and I said, I want to be like that.
Was it the camaraderie or their interaction?
That. And then they all had strong desire, to become, to be great.
Were you uber competitive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't like losing very much, so. But so Alfiola was one of my guys that I really admired, and I still admire him. And unfortunately, he's having a tough time right now, But
right.
I'll tell you another story. I was in a class. I was in Coach Roger Hyduke. He was one of our football coaches, and I had him for history. So I'm in the back of the classroom, with my buddies, and we're talking, And he says, Fuscardo, he said, shut your mouth. Quit talking. I'm going, I said, "What? Geez, I got 4 guys and talking. He picks me out, tells me to shut up, and I go." So I gave him that look, you know. I was not smart in a Catholic school, you know. And he says, "What'd you say?" And I said something to him like "get hosed" or something like that.
Did you really?
Yeah. And all the guys start laughing. He said, "What'd you say?" And I said, "God, if they wouldn't have laughed, he would have not heard it." He said, "Come and see me before practice." And I go, "God." So they had paddles. He said, "Swat you," you know. So I said. So now they had a little office, and half those guys smoked cigarettes and drank Coca-Cola. That's what they did. You know? And so I was telling my guys, I think I was pale-faced. I was worried I got to go in there, and they're going to kill me. So I knock on the door. Coach Viola answers the door. So I remember like it was yesterday. He goes, "Yeah, what do you want?" I said, "Coach, I'm here to see Coach Hajduk." And he said, "Roger, there's a kid here to see you." So here comes Coach Hajduk. He goes, "Bring him in." He says, "What do you want?" He forgot. And I go, "Geez." So I said, "Coach, you told me to come in and see you." "Oh, yeah. He said, what did you say to me?" So I told him. And all the coaches start laughing. Yuck. He told you to get host. And I said, "Oh, don't laugh." So he goes, "All right, bend over." And he has his paddle. And so he takes it and he just gives me a little tap on the butt and says, "Go get dressed, get on the field." I said, "Yes, sir." So he became my idol for doing that, you know. So, yeah, so Coach Viola, I just thought the world of him. He played for the Rhinos, Southern California Rhinos, and he was on TV on Sundays, and all of us would go home, watch the game on TV, and go in and talk to him. "Coach, saw you yesterday." "Yeah, I should have had the touchdown. I didn't got tackled in the 5, you know.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you stay in the South Bay, and you end up going to college at El Camino.
Went to El Camino.
Was there ever a thought like, "Oh, I want to go Division whatever 2 or 1," or was there anyone else? Or was the avenue just, "I'm going to go to El Camino and play ball here"?
No, that wasn't my plan. My plan was I was going to go to Notre Dame and play for the Irish.
And that worked out how well?
Not so much. See, my grandfather, who came from Italy, you know, and like I said, my mom would go bowling on Saturday night. So Saturday night, my grandpa would sit in the living room and he'd listen to the football game on the radio. And so my mom would put me down, and so whenever she'd leave, he'd come over to the steps and say, "Nicky, come on." And so I'd come down the steps and I'd sit on the couch next to him, listen to the Notre Dame and Southern California game. That's what they called them. And so he said, and he'd tell me, "Notre Dame, that's my team," you know. So I became a Notre Dame fan because of that, you know. So my grandfather was an interesting guy, you know, and you know, we all come from families and stuff and what. And he left Italy to come to America. He wanted to find a better life.
When did he leave?
He left back in probably 13.
Wow, early.
Yeah, way back when.
Okay.
So he came to America, and he went to Ellis Island and said, "I'm looking for work." And they said, "Go to Pittsburgh. They got coal mines, steel mills." Okay, so he goes to Pittsburgh, and he gets a job at a coal mine, brutal. And he worked in there for over a year and a half, and then he saved all of his money. And so he called my grandma and said, "Okay, I got a job. I'm going to come back to and marry you." So he does. He goes back and marries her. And then he says, "You stay here. I'll call for you when you come over." Came back over, went to work in the steel mill, saved his money, called for her. They come out, opened up a grocery store, a little mom and pop grocery store. Did
they have one in Italy?
No.
So no. Do you know what the idea of, let's start
in Italy?
No, let's start a store here. Like, why that? That was just a business opportunity?
Yeah, I think there was nothing in the lower end like that. So he opened up the first grocery store.
Wow.
So my grandma...
That's bold.
That's very bold. And so during the Depression, when the Depression hit, okay, this was, after years.
Yeah.
He had people come in and let's say, "Matt, go down to Ciclala's and get, a loaf of bread, some eggs, whatever, milk." So they'd put it on because you didn't have any money. They'd put it on a bill, slide it in. I can still see that thing. You pulled out, it says Brown, and they put all the stuff. So anyway, when the Depression is over, my grandmother goes to my grandfather. I learned this from my uncle Libby Orsini, and he told me the story, and my heart just, I just loved it. It was a great. And he said, the grandma said, we need to collect from these people. And my grandfather says, no, you don't. He said, we were here, they needed us, and we were here for them. If they want to pay us, fine. If they don't, we're not going to ask them for money. Who's going to do that today, Matt? Anybody?
Not a chance.
No. So she said, okay, he was the chief, When he passed away, I was 8 years old. And I was 8 years old. And in the store, he didn't go to the funeral home. They cleared out the dining room and had a casket. I can still remember flowers.
Right.
He had cars up and down the street of this town that came to honor him. And I thought, there's a man right there. So we learned a lot of stuff from our family, so.
Yeah. That must have been pretty powerful as a kid to realize how grateful everybody was for your grandfather.
Yeah, that was, and then I didn't know,
Right, you don't know that backstory.
Yeah, and then when he tells me the story, I go, you kidding me? He goes, oh yeah. He said, your grandfather was a man. And I said, well, I guess.
Wow.
Nobody messed with him either.
Jeez.
Yes.
So Notre Dame doesn't happen.
Well, so Notre Dame,
as El Camino the second after
well, here's the deal. My dad was such a giving man, so I'm going to graduate from Sarah, right?
Yeah.
So I said, hey, Pop, are you going to give me a car? Can you give me a car for graduation? He goes, what? And I said, hey, a car. Can I get a car can you give me a car for? And I was struggling, And he goes, no. You want a car? He said, you go get a job and save your money. And I said, Jim Smith's dad's getting him a car. And he goes, I don't give a rat's about Jim Smith's dad. He said, you want a car, you earn it. And I said, fine. So when I graduated, I didn't go to school the first semester. I got a job at Woody's Smorgasburger. And I was a busboy, and I worked on my way on the line, saved my money, and I bought me a 1956 Chevy.
Wow, how much?
$1,100.
That's a lot.
And it was, because you figure that was in 1961, so that was 5 years old. So
that was a lot of money.
Yeah. And I lowered it in the front.
Of course you did.
And that was smooth, man. That was. And my dad told me, don't do it. And I said, why? He said, your front alignment is going to be bad. You're going to wear out your tires. I said, Dad, that's my car. I'm going to do it. So anyway, I did, and that was a cool thing. But then,
did that hurt taking that semester off, knowing you might not play ball?
Well, that was in the fall, and I didn't know. I found out later that the coach of El Camino, he asked. There was one of my Joey Moore was a second baseman at Sarah, and he said, "Where's the shortstop?" And he said. I said, I don't think he's in school. And so he tells me in the spring, he says, you need to come out for baseball. And I said, I don't know. So I went down and watched him practice. Oh, that's whenever I did. I went down to watch the team practice. They had guys. Dave Marsden signed with the Angels. They had a guy named Herb Newman who came out of the Army, played shortstop, signed with the Oakland A's. I mean, we were really good. Bobby Brown. These guys were good. And I'm thinking, I can't make this team. These guys are so good. So anyway, I talked to the coach. He says, come on out. So I started to practice with him. Well, what happens? Herb Newman signs with that was before the draft and stuff.
Right.
Herb Newman signs. Bobby Brown, he gets hurt. And so next thing you know, I make the team. And I was a backup second baseman, backup shortstop. I told him I could play the outfield too. I was okay. So I ended up going there. And the first year I was like a backup guy.
Okay.
And then the second year, I had a good year. I started shortstop.
So you started in 62, but you took 63 off? Is that what I saw?
Yeah. I hurt my knee.
Okay.
Yeah.
During training or something? Did you have to blow it out?
In a game. I was playing in a summer game in the Metro League. And I was playing second base, and I go up for a ground ball. The guy hit me a ground ball with the runner first, and he rolled me.
Just got you.
Oh, that was I'd never been hurt like that.
Did you blow out the knee or ACL, or what was it then?
Cartilage. I blew out cartilage.
Okay.
No ACL or MCL. It was.
How did they treat it back then in 63?
Well, you look at me, I'm not real smart, because I kept playing. I'm saying I'm not. I already got cut once. I'm not getting cut again. I'm playing, So,
Didn't that hurt like a son of a
oh,
bitch?
it was painful. I used to wrap it with like, the bandage, the elastic bandage, and I played, but it would hurt. But I would just tough it out, and then finally I said, it hurt so bad, and I went to the doctor who was we lived in the South Bay, so I went to Santa Monica. The doctor up there was a doctor from the Rams.
Okay.
And so he performed surgery on me, and so he took out the cartilage. I got that little scar right there.
That cute little scar there.
Yeah. So, and then I had to rehab it, and I'd go to this rehab, and there'd be Rams there and stuff, and they had remember you ever heard of the iron boot? You put your foot on this, and on the weight, it was like weights on there, and then
Right.
and
You
you
have to
would
lift it up.
extend it, and that thing hurt so much. But I said,
Jesus.
no, and I did that for a while. Then I thought I can do this on my own, which was a stupid move. But anyway, yeah, I overcame that, and then I played, and then I ended up going back to West Liberty.
Yeah, that's interesting. You go technically back home. You go back.
Exactly.
Was there any other place you could have played locally, or was it always if there was
Yes.
an opportunity to go back home, you would?
Yes.
The Ohio River called you.
They did. Can't call me back. Well, not only that, but see, El Camino is one of the greatest places I could ever gone to. We had a fraternity. I was in it.
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
They
I
had
mean,
a
a house on the beach. 19th Street in Hermosa Beach. We had a house right there on the beach. So we had party. We had the best fraternity on campus.
Holy moly.
So, Matt, whenever I had an opportunity to study for that test or go down to the house.
Chase that cutie.
I went down to the house, So my grades kind of suffered a little bit, and so anyway, when I was finished playing, in fact, I'll tell you what, again, you talk about like maybe looking back and saying if I had to do over again, would I have done that? But I got recruited by Pepperdine.
Mm-hmm.
And coach up there was John Scalinas. Coach Scalinas was like, and so me, Kenny Balch, and Larry Sunderman, me and two of my teammates, were playing golf one day at Alondra. So we bought a couple cigars, so we're smoking. It was after the season. We're smoking these cigars, and walking down the fairway. Hey, fellas, hold up a second. We look back. Who's that guy? He goes, so he hits the ball, and he comes walking down, and we're walking, and he goes, how you doing? I'm Gary Marks. I go, hi, Gary, I'm Nick Fuscardo. I know who you are. Oh, you do? Mm-hmm. He said, I'm Larry. I know who you are, Larry. And Kenny, I know you too. He goes, glad to get a hold of you guys. He said, I'm Gary Marks. I coach with John Scalinas at Pepperdine, and we want you to come to Pepperdine. I said, really? Well, now, me, Larry, and Kenny, we drive up there, when we were supposed to go, whatever day. And Pepperdine is now it's LA Southwest College. It wasn't the one that's out on the ocean.
Right, it's not in Malibu.
Yeah. So we drive in there, and it's like the baseball field. They have a track going through left field, and they had like married couples. They had clothes hanging on lines, and I'm going. We looked, and I said, we ain't coming here. And I go, I don't think so. So I ended up passing on that. Well, Larry ends up going to Long Beach State. Kenny goes to, at that time it was San Fernando Valley State.
Okay.
And then I went back to West Liberty. But my uncle helped me get in there. And I went there and played a couple of years, and just had a magnificent time.
Second base?
I played shortstop then.
Shortstop, okay.
Mm-hmm. I played there.
How'd you do those 2 years?
I did okay. I started at shortstop the first year, and the year before they won the national title. They won an NCAA championship in Division II or whatever it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I missed that by 1 year. I was like, dang. And so, that Ray played on that team, Ray Pramel, I told you about earlier. So it was, so now that first year I had to, I couldn't wait for baseball, and it's cold as heck down there. We hit in the gym and all those things, and then I played in that spring, and did pretty well, you know. And then the second year I was there, we got a shortstop named Bo McConaughey. Bo ended up getting drafted by the Baltimore Orioles, and Coach Tom Meikle was our coach, and he said, he goes, Nick, I need to talk to you. He said, how do you feel about going to third base? I said, Coach, whatever you need. I'll go wherever, you know, you need me. He said, I'm bringing in a shortstop. You know, he's pretty good. He was really good, you know. So I went to third.
Now, could you sense that as a player?
What?
That the guy's coming in, he's just better? Or was that competitiveness in you saying, let me take him on, let me play him?
Yeah, I said, well, I'll do whatever. I just said, I'll do whatever you think. You know?
So that's a team guy. You know, there's this uber competitive guy says, I don't care who you're bringing in, I can beat him.
Yeah, well, I figured I could beat him out, you know, and but we had a real close club, you know, and I said I'll do, you know, I wanted to play, and I thought going to third base. I'd never played third, so we're playing West Virginia University. The first game we're down there, I'm playing third base. And this guy hits me a one-hop BB that hit probably about 7 or 8 feet in front of me. It bounced up and hit me. Boom! It hit me right in the sternum, and I blocked it, and I picked it up, and I threw the guy out at first base, and I couldn't breathe. I was going, yeah. And so Bo, the shortstop, he comes over, and he's laughing. I said, Bo, that was the first game I've ever played third base, and I almost got dehorned out here, you know, and he's laughing, and that was the hardest ball that got hit to me the whole year, so that was good. So, yeah, that was a really fabulous experience, you know, and I met my wife there, and it was...
So it's a good thing you didn't go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, they don't know what they missed.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm still a fan.
You found your love
I did.
in Liberty instead of
I
at,
did.
you know, St. Mary's.
Yeah.
What's your career path? What are you thinking at as your senior year's coming up? What are you thinking? Like, Nick's going to be an engineer, a pharmacist?
Well, I was really considered being a pharmacist, but I couldn't remember all those formulas, and the chemistry had got me down. But I pursued, and back there you get you choose 2 majors. So if PE was my name, physical education was one major, and the other one I picked speech. I looked and it was like 36 units, and I said, "Oh, I'll take that one." So I had 2 majors back there. So I ended up, you know, getting a degree in both speech and physical education, you know. So that's how I.
But what's your career path? What are you thinking you're going to do with a speech degree? I mean, are you thinking about coaching, or are you thinking about?
Oh, coaching, number one. I was
all the way.
All the way. I'm going to be a coach.
So you're telling this girlfriend of yours at the time, like, "Hey, I'm going to be a coach."
If I'm going to teach, I'm going to be a coach.
She's thinking, I really think that pharmacist is cute down the.
Yeah, that pharmacist. You might like him, honey. Yeah. He's a good-looking.
So you're thinking I'm going to teach. I'm going to be a teacher, and I'm coaching baseball somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I'm going. And so it's really ironic, you know, because I interviewed with some schools back there, and they don't pay much money. They were paying like $4,000 a year, you know, for a year, you know, for a teacher.
Jesus.
And also I thought, I'm going to go home, you know. So I came back home. Susan and I decided to get married. I was going to come back and marry her. She has 1 year left, and she said, I want to come out with you now. So we come out. So now I'm in Torrance, and I went to South Torrance High School and applied there. And you know what the job was? Gymnastics, head coach gymnastics. They were like the Bay League champions, you know, for a couple of years in a row.
Men's or women's?
Men's.
And you know how much about gymnastics?
Nothing.
And you applied.
I can do a forward roll. I could do that, and I was able to do the Iron Cross, believe it or not.
When?
I swear. But I couldn't do anything else, like skin the cat or those things you did. Oh, yeah. So anyway, my buddies would laugh. They go, and the coach is down there with a clipboard trying to grade me on what I'm doing. He goes, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm stuck. I can't get out of here." So, yeah, that was my experience in that. So
you were a boys gymnastics coach in the South Bay.
Well, I was looking for a job.
We're looking for a job.
And they had a teaching job, and that was
and that was it.
I was going to coach.
So how long were you there for?
Well, when I left his office, he said, we've offered this job to a guy, but if he if he doesn't accept it by Friday, then the job's yours. And I'm going like, okay, I'm figuring, well, what do you have to learn what you're doing. I was going to go to work and become a really good, gymnastics coach, but knowing nothing about it. But there's, people have done that. I read up on some people. So anyway, the guy calls me and he said, Nick, you were my choice. He said, but this guy's accepted and we're going to stay with our offer. I said, well, thank you so much. If anything breaks, we'll let you know. I said, okay. So now I'm driving in Torrance, and I ran into Bobby Johnson. Bobby Johnson, one of the most outstanding football coaches in probably Orange County history. Bobby was my friend. We went to El Camino together. And I said, Bobby. And he goes, hey, Nick, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking for a job. He said, go out to Orange County. I go, where? He goes, Orange County. I said, where's Orange County? Because I swear I had no idea where Orange County was. I
never. I mean, especially in late 50s, early
Right.
60s. I mean, there was nothing out there but Disneyland.
There was orange trees, Disneyland.
Yeah.
So he said, just go down to Santa Ana School's office. He said, they have jobs are available. And I said, really? I said, okay. So I called, I looked in a book and I called him and I got the address and then drove down here. So I drove down it from Torrance. There was no 91 freeway.
I was going to say, give me your map.
Yeah.
What did you drive? Imperial? Artesia?
And there was no 405s.
No, yeah.
So there was a
A 5.
Santa Ana freeway.
Yeah. But it was small, but yeah.
Yeah. And there was also the Harbor Freeway.
Okay.
So I went to the Harbor Freeway and I go all the way into LA and then I take because that's what I saw on the map. So I drove all the way to Santa Ana. I went about double the space, and so I go, geez. So I got there and then, I'm not lying to you, they had a list of jobs.
So you're in the Santa Ana office?
Santa Ana Schools, it was a school's office. And it says, athletic director, Orangewood Junior High or whatever.
Right.
Oh, and they said C football, JV baseball, Troy High School. Like, oh, Anaheim High School. They had it. So anyway, I go, I got 4 or 5 choices. I like to.
So you just grabbed a pen, just start filling out?
Oh yeah. So I said, well, I went over to I drove down to Fullerton, all the way down Artesia.
Okay.
Because there was no 91. So I go down there and I fill out the app, and then I get called to come in for an interview, and
Who calls you? What school?
Troy.
Okay.
Troy was built in 1964, 65.
And see, that's weird because you don't know where Troy is. Troy's not a city name, so
No.
it can be in Yorba Linda, it can be in Buena
Yeah,
Park.
exactly.
So when did you figure out Troy was in Fullerton?
Well, the Fullerton School District.
Okay.
That's where and they had Troy, Fullerton, Sunny Hills, Buena Park, Sonora,
In La Habra.
La Habra.
We're in the Freeway League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good league. That was a really good league. So I said, okay. So I go, I went over to Anaheim and I interviewed for this job. And I swear it was a junior high job, athletic director and PE instructor.
Okay.
And so I walk into the principal's office, and I shake his hand. How you doing? I got a coat and tie on. I'm looking good. He goes, okay, my name is whatever it was, So he's got a desk. So I sit down at a desk across from him. Well, he gets up and he's looking out the window and he's asking me questions. And I'm going, he's not even looking at me in the eyeballs, And he says, and then here's one of
Staring off.
I'm going like, and I go, he asked me this. He goes, okay, now I'm going to give you a situation. How would you handle it? He said, you come out to the field and your team has baseball practice, okay? He goes, but as you go out there, there are community members playing baseball. What do you do? I go, I kick them off the field, just like that. And he goes, you just kick them off the field? Well, first of all, it's during the week, or a Saturday, and we have the field, and they don't belong there. And I said, so I just say, you're going to have to leave, and then when I leave, you guys can come back out. And he goes, that's how you handle it? And I said, that's exact. I knew that he wasn't going to like it. I never wanted to work for that guy. And so I said, he goes, well, okay, I think we're done here. I said, yes, we are. I said, thank you very much. I turned and walked out. So then I went down to Troy, and I interviewed, Fullerton. It was over on Commonwealth, just west of Harbor. They had an office. So I interviewed there, Loved it. So I had a second interview down at Troy, brand new school, loved it. I remember walking out, I walked out down to the baseball field after my interview, and I go, or before maybe, and I said, "It's gonna be my field." They had no fence.
Oh yeah, back then, yeah. Open,
No
totally
fence.
open, right?
Dugouts were like, just. I said, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a fence in," which I did. I did all that stuff, and so I got the job. And the first day of the week,
What were you teaching at the time?
I was teaching driver ed, health, and coaching.
So was it JV or varsity baseball?
I was JV the first year.
Okay.
Yeah, Donnie Bryant was the head coach. So, I was,
Now, how was that, right? Now this is your first, like all the other coaches in your life, you're probably trying to absorb what they've taught you
right.
as a player. But now you've got to turn it around and coach kids, probably JV. So you got 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
And
like
you got to teach,
freshmen.
and you got to teach them
Yeah.
baseball.
Right.
What was your orientation on? Boys, this is what we're doing.
I just, anything that I learned, I threw at them.
Okay.
And I was ready for it. I taught, you'll laugh, I taught my second baseman how to make the pivot. And the way I made a pivot was you step on the bag, step off the bag, catch the ball and throw it, because they let you do that in college, so you're out of the way of getting hurt.
Right.
And so I taught my kids that, and we were really good at it, You go, bam, boom. And so the umpire goes, "He's safe." "Safe? Why is he safe?" He said he wasn't on the bag. I said, he hit the bag, caught the ball, and then threw it. He goes, "He was off the bag when he threw the ball." I said, "You got to be kidding me." So I said, "Gee, so it happened again. He's safe." "What?" So we had to go back to the drawing board, and I said, "Okay, fellas, here's what we got to do. We got to stay on the bag, catch it, and then step across." And so
Because you were used to, or at least your style was receiving, stepping, and then so you might not have had your foot on the bag when you had the ball in your glove.
Yeah. That line between second base and first base, so whenever you step towards,
right,
you never stepped in that line. You got out of that line.
Yeah,
if he's going to get you, he's got to come and get you.
Yeah.
So
he's coming up metal spikes high on you.
Yeah, but it was like, it was kind of cool because I said, the coach never told me what he wanted me to do. I just coached baseball, is what I did. So we had a JV field, and I would be out there as long as he was out there. I was all by myself.
No other coach, just you.
No, just me.
So who coached first or third, depending on where you...
Kid. Well, back in those days, the coaches weren't allowed to go coach the bases. So you had to train two kids to be third base, first base coaches.
So how was that for you, teaching these kids to now really understand the signals?
No, I gave the signs.
Right, but then they got to relay. They got to understand it. Yeah. Communicate to the first base.
It was okay. It was nothing, I don't think anybody ever cost us a game, but it was different, because I was good. And then when I got to the varsity, I was able to coach. They let us coach the bases again. Now the varsity.
How was it for you coaching against another coach, like the mental game, right? Hitting and running, knowing when to steal, because now you're playing against another team and another man's plan. How was that for you?
Well, it was like, I'm beating you, is what my thought was, And what I did was, whenever I got the varsity job at Troy, I went home. We lived in an apartment over on Orangethorpe, right by the Cadillac place, Rennick.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I lived in there. Susan and I lived $115 a month, and so that's with a garage.
Wow.
So so I went home. I sat at the table. And I took out a tablet. I still got it. I still have it in my file, and I wrote down everything, and anything that I knew about baseball. The bunting game, everything. The running game, everything. Defensive plays, defensive fundamentals, offensive, bunting, everything. And I wrote everything down. And then what I did was I had a schedule, and I had what I wanted to do on day one and so on, throughout. And I wanted to do that because, you see, I was the head coach. That's my first job, and I'm going to win a championship, and there's no other way about it.
Right.
And so when we came out to the field, I was the boss, and those guys had to listen to me. Now, when we started our regular practices, today it doesn't make any difference, you see guys. But back then, my thing was, get your hair cut. If you're going to work at Disneyland, that's what I want you to look like. So you come to practice with your haircut. Why? Because we're going to have college scouts there, pro scouts there, and I want you to make a good impression on those guys. So I said...
And this is the late 60s, right? 60,
this was 1970.
So guys are growing some hair at that point.
Yes. And so I was pretty solid about that. I wasn't going to change. So we have a double session the first day of varsity baseball practice. Saturday, practice at 10 o'clock and then 2 o'clock. So I said, all right, get your haircut tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Come with the right haircut. So kids come in, everybody's looking good. You know, here comes one guy comes in, and I go, his name was Raul Lomas. And Raul Lomas, I said, Raul, come here. I said, son, he said, Coach, I got my hair cut. I said, and it was longer, you know, the day before, but he had it cut. I said, Raul, that's not suitable. You know, that's not acceptable. And he said, Coach, you know, I said, you see those guys there? I said, I got to send you home now. So go get your hair cut. And if you come back this afternoon like that, you're in. So he goes, okay. So off he goes, you know. He tried to argue me, and I said, no. I said, that's my rule, you know. So anyway, I was in my office printing down some stuff for what to do at, you know, second session. Knock on the door. So I go, how you doing? There's a man at the door. And I said, hi, come on in. He goes, Coach, how you doing? My name is Raul Lomas. It's Raul's dad. And I can say this word because it's the greatest story, you know. So he said, Coach, can I talk to you? Yes, sir. He came in and sat down, and he said, Coach, you know, he said, we're Cubano. He said, the Cubano youngster, whenever he gets to that manhood, coming to manhood, hair is really important. And I said, I understand that. You know, I said, I get that. And he goes, so they don't really, you know, getting a haircut is really a sacrifice. And I go, and I understand that too. I said, well, Mr. Lomas, I said, Raul doesn't have to get his hair cut. And he goes like, really? And I said, oh, wait, but he can't play for my team. I said, because I said, every one of my kids has got the haircut that I asked them to get. How's that going to be for him if he doesn't get that haircut? How am I supposed to explain to them that I let him but not them? I said, he goes like, Coach, thank you very much. And he walked out. So Raul shows up, 2 o'clock practice, looked just like those dudes. He goes, Coach, I said, go get dressed, pal. And so so that was it. So now 10 years go by. They had a reunion. And all the kids go, Coach, you coming to the reunion? I said, heck yeah, I'm coming to that reunion, you know. So I go there, and here's Raul. He taps me on the shoulder. I look around. I go, Raul. He goes, Coach. And he says, Coach, I need to talk to you. He said, you know, you made me cut my hair. It was a huge sacrifice. I said, yeah, I know. I said, today would I do it? He said, I got my law degree at UCLA. He said, I had to make sacrifices. He said, because I wanted to play for this club, and I got my hair cut. I sacrificed what I wanted, and it helped me because law school was really hard. He said, so you helped me get I said, has the statute of limitations gone out yet? Are you going to sue me or anything? He started laughing. We remained really good friends now. We're on Facebook together, and he always calls me when he gets in town.
That's great.
Yeah. So, but that was important to me, Matt, you know.
Why?
Well, because it was my team. I was the only coach.
Right, yeah, you're the guy.
I coached that all by myself that first year. Outfielders, pitchers, catchers, infielders, offense, everything. I did it all. It was okay, you know. And so I figured, hey, if it's my team, I'm going to coach it. I'm going to have everything I have to do with trying to be successful for these guys. So we ended up winning the Freeway League Championship that year. We beat Gary Carter and those guys and all the kids from Fullerton, and it was a good league. Freeway League was good.
You won 5 championships at Troy.
Yeah, we did, huh? So it was a good run, you know.
How was it when you see someone like Gary? Can you see that he was pro caliber player?
Who?
Gary Carter.
Oh,
He was at Sunny Hills, right?
Oh,
He's a Lancer.
He was
Yeah.
fabulous athlete.
You could just tell.
Yeah, but he was kind of cocky little dude, you know. And I'll tell you what, we played Sunny Hills that first year. We had a third baseman named Dean Albertson. So Gary gets either walks or gets a base hit. He's on first, steals second, steals third. No, he's on first base. He comes over to third base on a base hit, and he comes in with his spikes high, and he spikes my third baseman. And I go over to see if Dean, he's cut his uniform, and so here's Gary sitting there, you know, and Brad Hickman comes over. He's one of my pitchers. He goes, "Hey, Meat, next time you come to the plate," he said, "you better duck your heads in. You better tuck your ears in." And I'm going like, that's pretty good, you know. A kid's going to take charge, you know. So anyway, he comes up the next time. He puts one right in his ear hole. Boom, hits him. Got in the ribs. Gary steals second, steals third, scores a run on a bad throw. I go, Hick, don't hit him. Get him out. Get him out. So
I love what you're doing, kid, but you're causing us runs.
that was good stuff, you know, but get him out next time, just not, you know. So anyway, so Gary, but I got to know Gary pretty well. I'll tell you what an unbelievable man he is. You know what he did? Of course, he was with Montreal. I went back to Pittsburgh. Montreal Expos come in to play the Pirates, and I worked for the Pirates a couple of winters, you know, and I had their pro guys coming back, and it was really cool, good fun time. So Joe Brown was the GM for the Pirates, and so when I was back home, I called Joe. I said, "Joe, is there any chance I can get some tickets for my nephews and take them to the ball?" Absolutely. So I brought up four of my nephews, you know, and we went to the ball game. They're playing the Montreal Expos that day. And so I said, "We're going to say hi to Gary Carter." And Tim Wallach was on that club too.
Yeah.
So we were waiting out there for him, you know, and here comes the bus. Guys are getting off. Here comes Wally. I said, "Wally, Coach, what are you doing here?" I said, I live here. Came back from. I said, "Where's Carter?" He goes like, "Oh, I think he's missed the bus. He's coming up on a cab." So I said, "All right, you know." So we got a nice little chat, and then he went in. My kids are thrilled to death because we got a tour of the ballpark and everything. So here comes this cab, pulls up. So I'm standing out there, and Gary's trying to get out of the door's stuck, and he's kicking the door. So I opened it up. I opened it up. I said, "Can I help you out, sir?" And he goes, "Coach, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm here to open the door for you, for crying out loud. You might not have got out, you know." And so, but he coached the Fullerton, what was it called, the Express or something?
Yeah, that played at Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah. And they practice at Fullerton College, you know. So one day Gary calls me. He goes, "Coach," he said, "can you open up?" He said, "I got a kid who's gonna." I said, "Gary, our field's underwater, man." I said, "We took a lot of rain. I don't think we can get out there, but I'll meet you." He goes, "Wow, it's really important." Some kid called me from Arizona, and his grandma drove him over here for the tryout. They're supposed to have a tryout. And I said, "Well, you know, I can't get on the infield because it's muddy."
Mud, yeah.
So he goes like, "Well, let's go." So I drove down and met him because I liked him, and his kid and his grandma were there, and so talks to the kid. He goes, "Coach, there's an area out here." I said, "Go ahead." So he went out there and he fungoed this kid, and you can see right away the kid was not going to make the team. But Gary stayed with him for probably half hour, talked about throwing, about hitting. He went in a cage and he pitched to him, and you know. And I had so much respect for Gary for doing that. He said, "Coach, I couldn't let that kid and his grandma go home without a tryout." Right. And I heard him tell the kid, "Look," he said, "you got a lot of work to do. Work on this and that. Things we did today, work on them. Work on your arm strength." And he gave him good advice and said, and I just want to tell you, you know, and he was into the Lord too, you know, and so that was kind of cool but that was a cool day, you know. So that tells you about the guy.
Right.
Know?
Yeah. You get to see a part of him that you don't normally see on the field.
Yeah.
At your time at Troy, when did you start to feel like you were getting better as a coach? Right? Because you're new at it.
Yeah.
It'll take you 5-6 years to kind of get your feet underneath you and feel like you were coaching instead of just kind of managing the game.
Yeah, I felt like I got this. That's what you mean. I got this. And a freeway league was really good. And you asked about you know, players and stuff that you had. And so the freeway league was good. And I had this thing where I was relentless because I wanted to win every year. And we had some good teams in it, and we had to battle and stuff. But what you did was you learned, you watch other clubs. And I picked stuff up,
Okay.
I always watched it, like, for example, the outfielder's throw. I want to make sure that I can run on that because I coach third. I'll run on that left fielder because he can't throw, That right fielder's got a good arm, so I got to make sure he's not coming in. So that kind of thing. Catchers doesn't block, so we're taking extra bases. I put together, like, offensive. We'd do double squeezes, double steals, fall down leads.
Were you risky that way?
Yeah. I learned some. I learned from Bo Palika, who was a big league guy that coached me in Connie Mack way back when I was a kid. Learned a couple plays from him and saw him at the game scouting. So I picked up a lot of stuff, and I watched people. Augie and I became good friends.
Right, you guys are right across the street.
Yeah, and so, but what I did was, to answer your question, we ran a double squeeze against Sunny Hills.
Okay.
And coach was Tim Devaney. He's a football coach too. So Tim Devaney, a good guy. So we have a runner on second base, runner on third base, and we go double squeeze on. So this guy takes off, and this guy delays, and then we bunt the ball down to third base. So now third baseman picks it up. My second runner's right behind, and we scored 2 runs. Perfect, it worked perfect. So that kind of blew the game wide open, And so after the game, Tim goes, Nick, let me ask you something. Did we screw up, or is that a play? Planned play? I said, you guys screwed up, Because I'm going to get him. I'm going to play him again. I'm going to get him again if I can.
You want to do it one more time?
Yeah. So that kind of thing, And I'll tell you, it was so fun because you can do some things in high school that you can't do on a college level because kids are stronger arms and quicker and stuff. But I'll tell you another one too. I was reading a book, and it was about Dick Grote, and Dick Grote was playing St. Louis, and Dick Schofield was the shortstop. This, the old Dick Schofield.
Right.
So Dick Grote goes up, and he walks on the right side of him, and he hits him on the rear end, and he goes, Ducky, he said, you have a nice winner, because it was the last game. And he said, have a good winner. He says, and then I'll look for you. And so, boom, they pick him off at second base because he was looked over here. And when he did that, I can't believe you did that, Grote. And I said, I read it. So I go, how can I use that? Well, I did. So what I did was, you only have 2 umpires, home plate, and this guy's in front of the runner. So I had my shortstop come up, and he goes, boom, just touch him on the rear end, back. Don't slap him, just touch him. And whenever somebody touches you, you go down.
Sure.
And so the timing was perfect. So as soon as he did that, he wheeled him through, and then we got the guy, threw him out. Get off the field, I said. And so then I'm looking over, and it was a guy from Anaheim, and he was like looking, thinking, and he goes, wait a minute. That guy touched my guy, So he told the umpire, he can't touch my guy like that. Well, nobody saw it,
Right.
And I go, we just ran up on him. We might have bumped him, whatever, So, yeah.
Stretching the rules, that's all right.
Yeah, and I would come up with stuff like that, and one other one. That's the last one I'll give you. He became a fireman. We had a kid. He's a left-handed pitcher, and I forget his name. Anyway, they said, Coach. The kids go, Coach, watch this. So he's on the mound. He's throwing left-handed. Takes his glove off, rubs the ball up, and he throws right-handed. I said, you have ambidextrous? He goes, I am. And I go, we're going to use that.
Oh, yeah.
So, what we did? We were playing Anaheim that day. And so, I'll get his name before I forget. Anyway, he's on the mound. We put the play on. I said, be special. Got to be special here, and special was the call. Everybody knew that. So he looks in and he gets the ball back from the catcher, takes the glove off. He rubs it up. He puts the glove on his left hand backwards, and he's standing on the mound, like this. And so he just looking at the catcher. And so as soon as that guy leads off, he just goes boom, boom, throws back to second base. He's out. I go, get off the field, not a baby. Third out. And their coach was doing that deal where he's looking and going like, how did they, what did they?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, he goes, wait a minute. He said, he threw that ball. He goes, time out. He goes, the umpire, he goes, hey, ump, he said, that kid he's a left-handed pitcher, right? And he goes, yeah. He said, he threw the ball back for right-handed. He goes, Nick, come here. So the umpire calls me out, and I said, what do you got, bud? He said, did your pitcher, is he left-handed? Yes. He said, did he throw the ball back there right-handed? I said, yes. And he goes, I don't think you can do that. And I said, why? He goes like, I don't know. I said, we threw him out. He didn't, I mean, we were, you know.
Right.
And anyway, it was so funny because the other guy goes, I can't believe you did that. And I said, that's a damn good play, I thought.
Damn good play.
So, yeah, you know, so to answer your question, you could get.
You pick things up and you learn along the way.
Yeah, you just do that, you know.
Now, 1981 is a pivotal year for you.
Yeah.
You know, Fullerton, across the street, Cal State Fullerton, they've got a championship. Augie's got things going in the right direction. How does that conversation go? You guys are friends. Does he
We're friends.
courting you? How does that work?
No, we became really good friends. When he first came to Fullerton, I had a baseball clinic, and it was like awesome. I mean, I don't think there was a better one in the nation than I had on it, because I would bring in Bert Blyleven, Gary Carter, Frank Tanana, Billy Grabarkowitz.
Frank Tanana. Wow.
Yeah. So I've got all these guys in. I mean, they're Gary Carter. There's like, so I brought Augie Greedo in. And so Augie comes in. He was like dressed up like $1 million, you know. That's the first time I'd seen him in person. From that point on, we became really good friends. I would go over there and watch practice and, you know, just talk to him and be in a dugout. And we, you know, I worked his camps, I ran his camps, and so it was really a good relationship we had, you know. And Augie, he was like tough as nails, you know, and I really liked him. Well, he recruits Johnny Christensen. Johnny's one of the best hitters I ever had. Everything he hit was a laser somewhere, wham, wham. So Augie comes over to check on him at practice one day, and so here's Johnny. He's up there, and he is hitting one bullet after another. Johnny had a hitch. It started up, you know, right off his hands off his shoulder, and then it dropped down towards his belly button, and then it reload and it hit.
Would he bring his leg up too, or was it just
just
a little bit
slightly,
okay.
yeah. So he would do that,
Just
you know,
kind of his timing, right?
But he was hitting like 420,
Jesus,
425. I mean, he could really hit. So
he was crushing.
So Augie says to me, he goes, Fusky. He said, "You going to fix that?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm going to let you fix that, Augie." I said, "He's hitting 400 for me." I said, "I ain't going to mess with that." I said, "He's wearing people out." Against Lowell, he had 5 hits and 9 RBIs. On the bus ride coming home, I said, "Johnny, how big was the ball today?" He showed me the size of a volleyball.
Now, when you got a kid like that with the hitch, do you want to correct it? Like, what's the tendency, like a racehorse? Do you want to fix his hitch because you wanted to make him look like a Ted Williams prototype? Or does that hitch work for him because he's got that timing? And if you screw with it, you could ruin the hitter.
Yeah, you know, because, you know, like if you go into pro ball, they have all that time to do it. You know? We don't have any time to do that, you know. Although I would say to him, you know, if he was struggling, if he's not struggling, I'm not going to mess with it.
Sure.
You know, but if he's struggling and he hitched, I would start with down at the bottom of the hitch.
Okay.
And then whenever he'd go here, and there's no hitch. I could have fixed Bellinger last year, but I don't know if Bellinger was listening.
Right, that's the
Because
thing.
if you look at his videos,
You got to get a guy who listens.
yeah, and you don't. He probably didn't.
Right.
You know, he had his own idea.
Sure.
But he would take the bat head and drop it up over and look at the elbow go
The
up.
elbow would come up. He was all over the place.
And then he was tardy to the swing, and I said, I could fix that in 5 minutes, you know.
But I'm sure people saw that, but he's not listening.
I'm sure that's true. And so you watch him now, and he, you know, he has a little one, not much, but he's pretty. So this the guy who was a hitting coach over there must have worked with him before.
Because Don Baylor would tell me that. When I was with the Angels, I would hang out with Don, and he would always say, like, I could tell guys all day long what to do.
Yeah.
But if they don't receive the information and want to accept it, I'm just talking to a wall.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys were like that. Like, this is the way I've been doing it. My timing, my this, my that. You know, this is the way it works for me. But as a hitting coach, especially when that's all you're doing,
Yeah.
you could see those ticks get bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
you're moving, you're out of the box, your hands are away, all elbows are flying, things, you know that. It can get crazy.
It is great, you know, and like hitting is a mental thing.
Sure.
And I mean, you go, why? What's wrong with me? Why am I, you know, and we had a guy named Dave Colton. And Dave Colton, one game, he had a bullet. The first baseman, he just stunned him, you know, and he caught it. Next time it's a drive, the deep right center field, right fielder runs it down. Next time it's a line, one hopper to the second baseman. He comes to me after the game and he goes, Coach, I'm in a slump. I said, you're not in a slump. I said, if you hit a ball like that, you're doing fine. Just don't worry about it.
Right.
Don't get caught up. But a lot of kids get caught up with that, you know. Now, I have done this. I had a kid, Keith Rokas, who was he signed with the White Sox, really good kid. And so Keith was struggling and struggling and struggling. So I said, okay. And I got this from my golf game. I said, like whenever I play golf, and if I don't play for a while, I'll come back and I'll play good. Stupid. It's a stupid thing, right? But so I told Rook, I said, Rocky, he goes, Coach, I'm not on the hitting list. I said, I know. I made the practice plan. Coach, I need to hit. No, you don't. You're not hitting today. And do not go to the cages because I know the guys at the cages. And if you go to the cages, I'm not going to play you on Friday. But Coach, just go out there and do your thing and field and just relax. Next day comes up, Coach, I'm not on the hitting list again. It's Thursday. I go, I know. And don't go to the hitting cage tonight. I mean it. And he goes like,
are you trying to get him to forget?
I'm trying to get him to relax and not work on something and just let it go. So Friday shows up, hitting the 3-hole for me. He goes, double. And he comes over and he gives me that, how you like that? And I go, that was nice. I said, that was nice. And so I see him, and I tell the story. He goes, oh, Coach, don't tell that story. I said, I don't tell me that story because why? I said, all we wanted you to do, I just wanted you to get away from it and not think about, you know.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, so hitting is like a mental thing.
So Augie tells you to fix that correct, then you don't. And so what?
Yeah, so anyway, I go over there in the fall, in their practice, and I go over to watch John over there, and Johnny's going, he's doing the, and I said, Augie, are you going to fix that? He goes, Fusky, I'm going to let those guys do that whenever he gets in the pro ball.
Passing the buck, you guys.
Yeah. So Augie and I, you know, we were really, really good friends, you know. And so I was at Troy. I got kind of, by the way, when I was at Troy, and I don't know how this sounds, but it is, you see, it was my team. It was our team as a team, but it was my team. I'm the guy, and by the way, I did get coaches as I went along because it was the smartest thing to do, you know. And so, but I try to stay consistent on how I did things, you know. Well, one day the assistant principal comes up to me, Matty, and he goes like, Nick, you need to start a booster club. I go, no, I don't do booster clubs. And he goes, well, he said, you know, you need to do it because, like, if you have fundraisers, you have a secretary, treasurer. And I go, well, you think am I taking money? What am I doing? He goes, oh, no. You know, he said, but I said, well, I don't like the idea because I don't like nobody tells me what to do on my team. You know, I said, that's mine. So I said, but I'll meet him. So I put a thing out, a note to all the whole program, for us soft, JVs, and varsity. Mandatory meeting Monday night in a teacher's lounge. Do not miss. The place was packed. Everybody's parents were there, you know. So I get up to the bike and I said, Jerry Atkin is our vice principal, and he said I should start a booster club. And I don't like booster clubs because, you see, this is my team, and this is the team was over as this is our team. Everybody on this team knows what their situation is, and they understand. They all get a chance to compete. So here's my only rule I have: do not ever, never, ever call me and ask me why your son's not playing, because if you do, you're going to have to move because I'll never play your son. And so my assistant principal's going like, oh, geez. You know?
Yeah, this is why we don't have a booster club.
Yeah. So we had a booster club. Nobody ever called me. Nobody ever called me. I said, if you have a question, ask your son. He knows because I tell him.
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of.
So does Augie make an offer to you?
Yes, I told Augie, yes, I'm leaving. I'm gonna leave. I had to raise money and stuff like that, and they wanted to cut down the buses. We used to pack Glover Stadium. We got 1,200 people at Glover Stadium for a Savannah-Troy game. Did you know that? It was a full house there. It was a great Brian Hayes against Ronnie Moore. It was unbelievable. Well, and then Ambridge Park, I used to have T-shirt nights. I had the band come out. It was awesome, man. It was awesome, man. So, but now he said, I can't take a bus. I said, why? Well, expense. I said, expense. I said, Anaheim High School, they cut out buses and they drove up to Brookhurst Park. And one night, kids are coming out of there and they get broadsided by a car. 4 kids go in a hospital. Is that what you want to see happen? I said, I like the safety. So he said, well, then you can't play night games. I said, Mom and Dad get a chance to come and watch their kid. Not at 3 o'clock, but at 7 o'clock, they're there. And then they said, I said, okay. So I just said.
So you were getting a little tired of it.
Yeah, I don't like that. I thought it was about the kids. It wasn't about me. And so then Augie said, I said, Augie, I'm done over there. He goes, good, you're coming here. He gave me keys and everything. I had, for the first couple of weeks of summer, I was over there opening up and, for Fullerton Pony League or whatever they had there. And so then Coach Scoba called me and he said, Nick, you leaving the Troy baseball? I said, yes, sir. He said, get over here. So I went over to talk to him and he said, I'm retiring in a couple of years. He said, I want you to come over and be my man, be my assistant. I said, okay. And then that goes back to way back whenever I told you, when I was at the stadium and I saw the Fullerton College guys walk up the steps. They had blue pants on, a gold sweater, and a white polo. Still remember it. And I go, who are those guys? That's the FJC football staff. And I go, wow. And I thought, I'd like to be there. I'd love that, And ironically, I end up over there. And who's there? Coach Alfiola.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my life has been.
Why not stay? Why not take Augie's offer and go D1, play, better baseball? No disrespect to Fullerton College, but
Division I baseball.
Yeah, it's Division I baseball.
It was really a tough decision, but I came home and talked to Susan, and I said, "Now here's the deal. If I go with Augie, I'm going to be recruiting, I'm going to be scouting, I'm going to be on the road. And if you talk to Chad Baum, he'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Chad said, I got a family growing up, I had a family, so I said, if I could stay at Fullerton, I may get that job. I wasn't promised it. I said, I may get that job. And I'm home. I'm 10 minutes from home. And so I decided to go that way, and I was thrilled to do it.
Was there a competitive side of you, though, that was like,
yeah,
man?
After I did that, I was thinking I could be going back to Omaha right now.
D1, Omaha.
Yes.
You're playing SC.
Yeah.
Dato's still there. You're talking about he was playing the cream of the crop, Wichita's and Miami's, and he was battling. And he had great players were coming through. The 84 team, they won it. So it wasn't like they were slouches.
They got a culture. Their culture is like unbelievable, because those kids still all meet and they love each other. And they love Augie and they love Hookie and they love George and
Dave and all of them. Yeah. But was it even Larry? When he was there, Larry Tucci went to Omaha twice, 3 years.
Yeah. So
But was there any second guessing oh man, Susan, I should have taken the job, or when a year or two later into it, or
after the fact, and the other thing that you mentioned, which is probably very true too, is that Augie went from Cal State Fullerton to Illinois, and then he went from Illinois to back to Fullerton, and then he went to Texas.
Yeah,
and I said, and so Susan and I talked to some people. They go, I said, if I'd have been with Augie, who knows what it might have happened. They're making big money.
Right. He leaves in 87. That could have been your job.
Could possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then I all over the Augie told me one day, he called me and he says, want to go, because we used to go to lunch, and he go, hey, you want to go to lunch? I said, yeah. He goes, so we go to lunch, and he says, how many job offers? Because that was 79 when they won. Mm-hmm. he goes, how many job offers do you think I gotten since we won a World Series? I said, I'm going to say 5. He goes like 0. And I said, 0? Well, see, back then, baseball was not.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't
Nope.
football and it wasn't basketball.
No.
It wasn't Johnny Wooden and it wasn't John Robinson.
Nope.
It was baseball was baseball.
And there still wasn't money in it yet.
No. And then Augie is one of the guys that made it go.
When he went to Illinois.
He went to Illinois, and all of a sudden, those guys were getting $1 million contracts.
Right.
And so,
But I mean, he had like Dave Snow was on that team as assistant coach. So those guys ended up going places. I think Dave went to LMU, and then he went to Long Beach. I think that's what it was. Or,
Dave Snow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so
Exactly.
his assistant coaches were going to the D1 level.
Mm-hmm.
When you're at Fullerton College 4 or 5 years into it, was there ever a thought, well, maybe I'll get back into D1? Or how long are you at Fullerton College and then you're starting to feel?
I was a lifer.
Yeah, like I'm going to be here. This is it.
I love Fullerton College.
They're keeping this Hornet hat on me forever.
Forever. I mean, it was like I was teaching. I loved teaching.
Right, because you were teaching. That was still a thing. You were still in teaching classes.
I was teaching in a classroom. I had, sports officiating.
But you also needed to, though, right? Because I mean, it wasn't like the baseball job was going to pay your salary.
Not like Cal State where you coach.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was like awesome.
What was your first couple of years? What were you teaching?
Oh, when I sat down with Coach Sherbeck, he said, like, the first day, when he hired me, he said, what do you want to teach? And I go, what do I want to teach? I said, because in high school, they go, here's your schedule.
Right, here's your schedule.
Yeah.
You're doing health for 3 periods and, driver's ed.
Yeah, and he goes like, all right, go figure it out and come back, tell me what you want to teach. So I saw Ezra Van Horn, Coach Van Horn. Loved Ezzy. He was awesome. I said, Ezzy. He goes, what? I said, Coach asked me what I want to teach. He goes, what do you want to teach? I go, you mean I can tell him what I want to teach? And he goes like,
this job is unbelievable.
He goes, yeah. He says, then he goes, you like tennis? I said, yeah. He goes, teach tennis. I go, just like that? And he goes, just like that. And I said, he goes, racquetball? Yep. He goes, I said, how about golf? He goes, I coach golf. So
no, that's mine.
I had volleyball, I had tennis, I had racquetball. It was awesome. I had a jogging class.
Now you're assistant coach for a couple of years, right?
A couple of years, yeah.
And then are you nervous that you don't get the job? Right? You still have to apply. It's not like it's just, okay, you're next.
Yeah.
Was that a worrisome period? Like, oh, what if we don't get the job?
I'm going to tell you something. I never felt that way. I thought that was my job.
Okay.
No matter if I had to go up against anybody else, I just felt, had I not gotten that job, I would have gone back to Troy because I still had a full-time teaching job. And I don't know if that guy would have hired me, probably would have, but I got the job, and I'll tell you something. The coaching fraternity is unbelievable. It's so cool. Now there was a guy named Steve Alonso. Steve Alonso was a coach at Mount San Jacinto, and he applied for the job, and he's got all the right things going for him. He's Hispanic, so he's a minority.
Okay.
He's a good coach. He had professional experience. He was in a tough situation, but made the most of it. They didn't win championships, but they were good.
Okay.
So he's interviewing. So after the interviews, one of the coaches come over to me and says, how well do you know Steve Alonso? I said, I like Alonso. He's a good guy. And he goes like, he told me what he said. He goes, let me tell you something. He said, if you're going to hire me because I'm Hispanic or because I'm a minority, I don't think that's fair to Coach Fuscardo. He's worked so hard to make us, help this program to be good. And he deserves to get that job. I said, he said that? And they said, yeah. And I said, wow, man. I said, I knew I liked him. I always did. To this day, we are in contact. A lot of guys go, I'm not going out there and play them. I said, I'll go out and play him. I'll do whatever that guy wants me to do. And so he would say, Nick, you want to play? We'll come up there. I said, Steve, we'll come down there. No, I want our kids to play on your field. They like your field. I said, well, are you sure? I said, because I'll come out there. Because Cypress would, if they played him, they'd play him at home. Santa Ana, they'd play him at home. They would never go out there. I said, I'll go out. So finally I talked him into it. I said, I'm coming out there. You don't have to drive in here, you know. And so we got a bus, went out there and played him. And he always appreciated that, but I always appreciated him, you know. So, yeah, friends, that's why it's such a cool fraternity, you know.
Who'd you guys play for your first win? Who was it?
My first
win at Fullerton College. Who'd you play?
The first game I played against El Camino.
Did you get the win?
On Sunday, playing Monday was a holiday.
Okay.
So Sunday, I go down to school and I sat in the first base dugout. There was not a cloud in the sky. It was blue. The field was green grass, trimmed. Our field man was Ray Sims, who was unbelievable. It was his field. Don't mess it up. And so all I could think of was I'm starting my head coaching career here tomorrow against El Camino. I said, awesome. So I go home, I wake up, it rained. It was raining. Where'd the rain come from? So I drive down to school. We got water. We got water sitting on the, you know, in some puddles. And I go, oh, so my coaches, we got this, coach. Went out and get gasoline. I had to call El Camino and say, hey, we got to go at like 2 o'clock. We were supposed to go at 12. And we were there from like 7 o'clock just drying. We got it dried and we lost. My kids were arm weary from, so that was our first, I was 0-1 to start my career. And of course, it was okay because I said, I ain't going to ever lose again. You know, next game, I think we played Chaffee and we beat Chaffee. And that was my first win. I think it was Chaffee. I don't remember.
Did you ever have a love-hate relationship with the ivy in the outfield?
No, I loved it.
It's very unique. I mean, it's, you know, I've shot pitchers and people said, were you at Wrigley? No, that's 2 minutes from my house. Yeah.
I got a kid from Chicago who came out here with his mom and dad to visit the school. We're coming here because we had the ivy. You know, whenever.
Did you ever think about taking it out?
No. As a matter of fact, in left field, I don't know if you remember or not, in left field from the gate in probably about 30 feet. It was like windscreen up there. I could never figure out why do we have the windscreen and all the rest was ivy. So I asked Leonard, I said, Leonard, what do we have? How come that wind? He says, I didn't think you wanted. I want it. Take those down. So we took them down in the fall. And then by the spring, the ivy was starting to grow. And for the next year, we had ivy.
That's good.
Is that funny?
That's funny. That they thought you wouldn't want it.
I know. And Leonard, you know, he and I we worked together for like, 30 years, you know, and I'd say, Leonard, are you going to cut the infield? Thursday. I want to cut today.
See, now, okay, there's the thing, right? How did you like your field cut? Because, you know, some coaches will, I'm going to grow it long. I want my infield short. I want it tight. Did you work your grass to how your team was, especially your infielders?
No.
Okay, so you just cut it. This is the way it is.
Cut it one way all the time.
Okay.
So it's just like, it was nice. I loved it, you know. And so, yeah, so Leonard goes like, I said, I want that thing cut. He said, I'm going to cut it on Thursday before. I said, okay, fine. So he left and I cut it. So because I had the key to the thing. He came into my office the next morning. Did you cut the infield? You did, didn't you? He said, you cut it, didn't you?
Oh, Jesus.
And I said, yes, I wanted it cut. I told you I was going to cut it. And I said, you still love me? Because we were like husband and wife, you know, because we were together every day. So.
How was the quality of baseball for you as a coach going into Fullerton College from high school?
It was a step up, but I had some good teams. I think I had some teams that could have won some games in that league. I mean, I had Scotty Grood, you know, and Johnny Christensen, Jimmy Christensen. We had some guys, you know, that could play. In fact, at the end of my 70 year, Rick Ingalls, Jimmy Bass, Eric Bazet, Brad Hickman, they all came over to Fullerton, and they had a pretty good year. That league is a tough league.
Yeah, but in high school, you know, you might have some kids who are just playing baseball because they're playing baseball. Now, if you go to Fullerton College, it's because you're looking to get to the next level.
Yeah.
You're not taking it because your buddy's playing too, and so.
Yeah. You know. And it's absolutely true, you know, because kids they're the stars on, and they're not used to sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And so you
How
compete.
did you deal with that?
You compete. You know, we had a fall season with inter squad.
Right.
And I said, you know, this is all about you, you know. And we'd have situational games. You know, I wanted to see, you know, one of my best stories is Rod Klopfer. Rod Klopfer comes in my office one day and he says, Coach, how you doing? I go, good. I said, how you doing? He said, all right. He said, who are you? And he goes, I'm Rod Klopfer, Coach. I said, where are you from, Rod? He goes, Anaheim. I said, Anaheim High School, you guys, did you play there? He goes, yeah, I played outfield. Oh, I said, I didn't see you over there. He goes, I played last year. I said, I still didn't see you over there. I said, where you been? He goes, oh, went up to Hollywood. He was trying to be a lighting guy in the industry.
Okay.
And he said, I didn't like it, so I want to come back. So I said, all right. So he comes and joins us. It's unbelievable, too, because joins our team in the fall. And I said, you know, come on out and see what you got. So he got a little bit of power, but, you know, he has a lot of work to do. So we're doing our cuts. So we're sitting down with my coaches, and they said, what about Rod Klopfer? I said, I like Rod. They said, you do? I said, yeah. I said, I like him. I think, he comes early. He comes to play every day. I said, is he a problem with anybody? And they go, no, but I don't think he can play, Coach. I said, I'm going to keep him. He might make us look smart. I'll call him off the bench. He'll go out, hit one out, and get a win. And yay. So anyway, they go, all right, so we kept him. And he didn't have that good a year for us.
What did you see?
Pardon?
What did you see in him?
I saw a guy who first of all, he sat and told me that he knew that he made a mistake in what he was going to try to become and wanted to come and do this. So I liked that, you know.
Okay.
And then B, every day I watched him because that was my call. And every day he hustled everywhere. We'd rotate groups. Boom, first guy there. You know, he was that kind of guy. And I said, I like that, you know.
Okay.
And then he had a little power. Once in a while he had a ball, boom, he hit a bomb, but then he wouldn't hit much at all, you know. So I kind of liked those little things, you know. And to make a long story short, the same thing happened after the season. What are you going to do with him? I'm keeping him. I like him, you know. So Tim Churchill was the first baseman from Valencia High School. And Churchill, I spent a lot of time with him. He was horrible defensively, and I just worked my butt off with him trying to make him better. So at the end of his freshman year, he tells me he's going to Cypress, play for Pickler. And I said, you're what? I said, all the work I've done with you, I give you the opportunity to play, and you're going to leave and go there? Yeah, I just think it'd be better for me. I said, well, then you go there. I said, I don't want you here. So he left. Rodney, you ever play first base? He goes, no, sir. So I went over to Biggie's. I bought him a first baseman's glove, and I said, wear that thing out, partner. So he did. Well, we ended up moving him to the outfield. He set 5 offensive records. My coaches go, how'd you do that? And I said, I didn't do that. He did that, you know. And they said, he's a chiropractor in Fullerton now, and he's very successful. One of the coolest kids I've ever known. And he's always, you know, never has ever forgotten that. Neither have I, you know. So cool. There's so many stories about these kids.
Were there players you saw that you looked at him and said, you know what, you could be a good coach someday, just the way you interact with the other teammates and the way you see the game, you take what I'm saying and you can actually understand it, not be a stupid, 19-year-old and just look at me like I'm, got 2 heads.
Yeah. Yeah, they're guys that I've said, like, hey, when you get done, I want you to come back and join my staff. Because they were going to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah, so you do. You pick those guys out, and it's kind of fun, and you watch their leadership qualities.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I asked Johnny Christensen one time, I said, JC, I said, I want you to be captain. He goes, Coach, I don't want to be captain. He said, I'll lead by my example. I said, okay. And we didn't have a captain.
Really?
Yeah. This was at Troy.
Okay.
And he was like, we had a kid named Lance Brewer. He was a center fielder at Troy High School. And Lance was about 5'8", center fielder. I loved that kid. We had a team that was like, okay, but he helped turn that team into a winner. And he would everybody would sprint off the field. I said, here they come. Because when inning was over, they'd come flying off the field. Because we had a concrete dugout floor.
Jesus.
And I said, here they come. And we'd have to catch them, otherwise they'd break their neck, And it was like awesome. Lance Brewer. One day some kid said, Coach, the kids, he was a senior, and Lance was a junior. And he goes, Coach, our teammates don't like Lance. And I said, don't like Lance? Why? He said, well, he's just not one of us. And I go, well, we can look at that two ways, I told him. I said, he can be one of you if you're here, but now he won't be one of you if you're not with me. Because I said, I'm keeping him. I said, he gives us what we need. We need that. He gives us life. And I said, so you got a problem with that? No. Yeah. So anyway, I said, okay. So I said, just shut your mouth and go down and play third base.
How was your leadership skills developing? Were you getting good at leading the team, teaching your assistant coaches? Because that is a skill. I mean, you can coach is one thing, but leading the team, was that something that was coming natural to you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was like, you just watch. I watch other people. I mean, Augie was one of my idols. I love watching him. I watched Scoba on how he coached.
Did you pick their brains, those guys?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why you do this? Why you do that?
Yeah.
Why don't you do this? Because a lot of times, as
Yeah.
you know, sometimes not doing something can help a player.
Yeah.
Don't tinker with something.
Yeah. If something like that would come up, where I'd say, on the next bus trip would be driving, I said, Skipper, whenever we played Mount Sac, what were you thinking, See, he gave me that, what were you thinking? And I learned a lot from working for him. We're over in Arizona, and we're playing Yavapai or somebody, and we're down a run, and we've got a runner on first base, 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. And we got Kirk Bates on deck. And so he's our best hitter. So the kid gets up and he fights his way through 2 strikes, and he hits a ball late inside the bag and down the line. It's over at Hohokam Field down there. And the ball goes over by the stands. So I'm coaching third. I'm bringing the runner over from first to third, and I'm watching a guy over there. And I said, I'm thinking, if
You're so excited you're hitting the mic.
hit the mic, sorry, Mike. So I figured out. I decide that if the right fielder picks that ball up, I'm stopping the runner. If the second baseman picks it up, because he's running diagonally to it, he picks it up, I'm chasing him home because he's going to have to spin and throw.
Right. He's got to make a play.
Yeah. So tie and run. So come on. I'm waving him home. Here comes the throw. The kid spins and he throws a 1-hop beauty that hits and skids instead of bouncing. If it bounces, we're safe. Skid it into the catcher's glove, and our foot got there at the same time. You're out. Game over. And so, Matty, I go, cost us a ball game. I had the best hitter on deck. I would have had second and third with winning run at second base. I go in the dugout, and I sat down in the dugout. I just, what a dummy, what a dummy. And so Skip comes over to me, and he says, he sits down by me. He goes, tell me what you were thinking, Nick. I told him exactly what I just told you. He goes, that's exactly what I would have done. And I thought, wow. I was in the tank, and he told me that that's the same decision he would have made. So he paid attention. So that, number one, told me, you pay attention, pal, because you can do some things, and I got a lot of respect for him for that. And I never ever second guess my coaches.
Well, that kid probably also made a play 1 out of 25 times. Like, he's never doing that again for the rest of the year.
Ball skidded, man.
Yeah.
And I said, I've all the luck.
Exactly.
So. Yeah,
you made the right call. It's
Yep.
just that kid's performance just beat your call.
Yeah. But then additionally, I had the best hitter coming up, probably the best hitter in a conference.
Yeah, but baseball's a game of failure.
I
3
know.
out of 10 times, you hit, you're successful.
I could have skipped over his glove and I scored 2 runs, and they would have said, you're really smart. No, I'm not smart. I was just lucky.
Or he could have hit a weak rollover and
Yes,
just back
yeah.
to the pitcher and he's out.
Yeah. Hey,
When you watch baseball now, or do you see plays and you're like, oh, I would have loved to have used that or try that or done that?
Yeah.
See? Never ends, does it?
No. Yeah, you got, and then on the other hand, I watch baseball, and I go, why are we doing that? Why did they do that, I went down and watched Fullerton and Troy play.
Oh, God.
Fullerton's got a nice team,
Okay.
And Troy's like, they're young and stuff. Okay, well, the Troy guys, and they're over there, they do things that we never did there. They're hollering and stuff, and you're going, what in the world? So they got the pitcher rattled. So they got bases loaded. The guy gets a base hit to center field. Well, they stopped the second runner. Instead of scoring him, they stopped him. So they got 1-0. And then they strike out a guy. And then, no, they tried to squeeze with the guy. And he popped it up, and he was out. And I'm going like, what are we doing here, And then the next guy, he strikes out. And then the inning's over. And you go. So, I was sitting there with my dentist. His son plays shortstop for Troy. And I go, Doc, why did, so you question stuff, because why'd you do that,
At what point at Fullerton College are you feeling like I don't know if I want to say mastered the game, but you felt like at every aspect of it, you had total control? Whether it was calling the game, communicating with the pitchers. Obviously, you and the catcher have to have a rapport. You have to have an understanding of this. He's actually, your conduit to the pitchers. Were you feeling, 10, 15 years in to coaching at Fullerton? Was there a window you felt, I got this?
No, I used to have, I took the pitchers one year, and that's when I got my gray hair. And so the pitchers are like a whole different.
They are a total different animal, right?
Yeah. So.
And you, when you learned that, was that refreshing to be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You guys are goofy.
Yeah, and I trusted my pitching coach. I always wanted to get a good pitching coach because he would, number one, kids would want to come and play for that pitching coach because he's going to take them to the next level faster than I can because I was an infielder.
Right.
But I really had to study pitching, because I had to have answers for stuff. And like I said, I don't know if I told you this one, but I would go out to the mound. If I came out to the mound, the pitcher's coming back with me.
Right.
So if a kid was struggling like early and walking some guys, giving up a couple early, and you could just see he wasn't, doing it. So I would go out and he'd be going like, oh, coach.
Right, because he's thinking, oh God, he's pulling me.
Take me out. So I walk out and the kids will all be standing there, and I go, Matt, was that your girlfriend you were with today? And he goes like, huh? And he goes, Coach, I wasn't with any girl. I said, oh, wasn't you? Oh, I said, and the kids were all laughing, and I said, I just wanted to check, and I just walked off. Nothing about baseball and nothing. And the kid just kind of took a deep breath, and next thing you know, it worked.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't work, but
yeah.
But yeah, there are little things like that. I think it's like the mental part of it.
Is it tough to sit there in that dugout and watch a pitcher struggle like that, and there's really nothing you can do?
Yeah, that's the toughest part. And some guy will be in the bullpen. I'd always ask my bullpen catcher, Coach, he's got it. He goes out on the mound. He's got what? He doesn't have that. We didn't have that.
Has he got herpes? He got gonorrhea because he doesn't have a.
Yeah, poor kid. He's got a lot of stuff, but he didn't have anything today.
Well, then do you question the bullpen the catcher? Like, hey, what did you see?
No, it's just the pitcher. The pitcher goes out there and he throws a World Series in there.
From one mound to the next, a totally different person.
It's out here, so they got an umpire there now. All of a sudden, and the guy's squeezing you. And I'm telling you, whenever you're a pitcher, like I was watching the Angel game today, and Davinsky was pitching, and he throws a couple of pitches that were like on the corner, ball. I'm going like, ball. Now, I know they have that thing,
right,
and I don't know how accurate that thing is.
It's very accurate, which is frightening.
Yeah. And so, but you're sitting there as an umpire,
Okay, so has that bothered you? Like, if you read the rule book officially, where that strike zone is supposed to be, and where umpires have called it historically, has that bothered you? Like, hey, let's play the game by the rules, or do we play by the umpire's rules?
Yeah, well, that's a great statement because here's the deal: umpires all have a different zone, And we know that as coaches, and we know that as pitchers. Some guys will not give you a ball in the knees because they can't get down that low, and you know you're not going to get it. So some guys won't give you the ball,
Right.
He'll give you right down the middle, no corners. So you have, you just have to deal with it, but no, it's not like, I would hire an umpire because I think he's a good umpire. And I think guys have bad days and have good days.
Sure, they're human.
And I'll make a mistake or something, but that's part of the game, And like a hitter, he goes up and he strikes out 3 times, and he goes like, "Oh my God, I'm terrible." No, you're not. Just one of those days, Chief.
Right.
So
that guy just got you. That's all.
That's all. He's trying to beat you, and you're trying to beat him. My grandson plays, and I love it because he gets up and he'll shake his head. He'll come back, and I'll go, "What'd you take that pitch for?" "It was a ball." "Nico, I watched the catcher. He caught the ball right where he had his target. Now, is he going to put his target where it's a ball?" And he goes like, But yeah, so teaching them that is important, learning those things. But umpires, I got so many good umpire stories too. I told.
Well, I know. I mean, did you ever have a very early run-in with umpires, or were you pretty calm younger in your career? Because I've seen you go pretty toe-to-toe with a couple at our time together.
Yes, it's good. It's good for the soul. When
was the first time you just had to chew an umpire's ass?
I never got thrown out of a high school game.
Okay.
Ever.
Okay.
Yeah, and so Billy Rydell was one of my pitchers, and he told me one day, he goes, "Coach, you really disappoint me." And I go, "I do?" He goes, "Yeah," because he loved Billy Martin. He goes,
"Oh, God."
He goes, "Coach, you never get thrown out of games." And I said, "Billy, if I get thrown out of a game, I got to sit out the next game." I said, "Am I going to do that?" "No." So I said, "I know who I can deal with." I knew the umpires. And I would say things to some umpires that I couldn't say to some other umpires. One guy told me this kid missed first base on a home run. It was at Amherst Park. Guy had a shot on a right field line over at Amherst, and the ball got out there real fast. He was watching it, and he stepped over, because I was and I saw it. He stepped over first base, never touched it. And I said, "Go to first." The guy missed the bag. And John Bowden was the umpire. And John Bowden said, "Nick, the ball went out of the yard." So I said, "So does that mean that next time one of my kids hits a home run, he can run to second, and then run to third, and then run to first, and run home?" And he goes like, "Let's not go there." I said, "No, you're just saying it's one out of the yard. He doesn't have to touch anything. Or what if he just hits the ball out?" I said, and he'll go, "Yeah, see you later," and go back to the dugout. He got ticked at me.
When was the first time you got run?
Oh, I got run early at, when I was the head coach at Fullerton, JC. I got.
Was that a lot of young spunk still in you? Got a little fired up?
Yeah, I did. I went because I wanted to go. I hadn't been thrown out yet, and I said, I got to make sure these guys don't think that I'm a mamby-pamby guy, So I went out, and I just got after him, and he was going to let me go because he'd never seen me like that, and so I said some bad words, and finally he goes, "Nick," he said, "you got to go." And I said, "It's about time."
I was running out of things to say.
Jesus. So I walked off, and Susan and my daughters were working a snack bar.
Oh, God.
And so I walked over, and my daughter, Julie, goes, "Dad, that was really classy." I said, "Oh, you heard me?" Yeah. I said, "Oh, geez." So, yeah, I got that one. I got some, after a while, though, like I said, I knew when to shut up, and they knew I was making a good point. One day we played Harbor, and the umpire was changing in the parking lot, and he had a shirt on that said LA Harbor Baseball. And he's a plate umpire, and I walked by it. So Ronnie Mouses was on the bases, and the kid steals second base. And he's safe by plenty. So I walk out, and Ronnie looks at me like, "Nick, what do you want?" And I said, "Oh, Ronnie, yeah, he's safe." I said, "I just want to ask you one question." I said, "Now, I know that Herb's wearing a LA Harbor T-shirt. Are you wearing an LA Harbor T-shirt today?" And he started laughing so hard. And I said, because I don't know, do I have anybody? I have a friend out here, And so then I walked back over. So, yeah, there are little stupid things that you did. So.
Ryan Ermeling, every time I'll post something and he'll say, "Oh, was there a fight?" Because I mean, how often do you get brawls? And he still remembers that brawl you guys had in 98 or 97, whatever it is, a full-on.
We had brawls every year, man.
Steel cage match. Like, what the hell?
First of all, you have to understand, and for all of our listeners, Fullerton and Santa Ana have been rivals for 100 years. They haven't liked each other in football, and we don't like them in baseball. They don't like us. And so we always have tense games, I should say. And one year we brawled with them twice. And they had a brawl. I was teaching at Troy, and I went over to watch a game, Fullerton and Santa Ana. And they had a brawl that went on for like 15 minutes.
Good God.
And I mean, they were dragging guys behind the dugout, and it was like, what in the world? So, and most of the time, the brawls are like,
right, yeah, shoving and pushing. That's about it.
Yeah, like Jim Healy said.
Jim Healy.
I seen a better fight in the women's restroom. Anyway,
what does baseball mean to you?
I look forward to it. Whenever the season's over, I love getting up in the morning. I get my paper out and I look at all the box scores. I want to see how Bellinger's doing, how Turner's doing, the other Turner.
Yeah.
And
you're still getting the paper and reading it. And
I get the paper still.
Good for you.
I told Fryer, I said, Fryer, why don't you write about the Hornets? Why don't you write about community college baseball? Why don't you put some? I know you do the baseball thing, but why don't you put the standings and let people? And he goes like, Coach, he said, it's not my decision. It's the guys. And I said, you don't write. These JC guys are going into the big leagues. And I said, why don't you write? In fact, I corrected a guy, Jeff Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I wrote him, and I said, Fletch. I said, and it wasn't about my school at all, because they would never say, every once in a while they would say that Jose Rojas went to Fullerton JC.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise it was, where did he go to? Starts with a V, whatever. Anyway, I told Fletcher, he wrote a letter on Davinsky. I said, Jeff, I like your columns, you do a good job. I said, but, I said, you guys forget about the JC, how much impact they have on kids. Chris Davinsky went to Gar High School. I said, I recruited him, but he told me that he didn't think he was going to play because he needed to get a job because he was homeless.
Right.
And so he ends up going to Golden West. And Golden West guy, Bert Villarreal, the coach, every morning, he knew what kind of situation the kid was in. Bert would make himself a lunch, and he'd make Davinsky a lunch and give it to him every day, because he knew the kid couldn't afford that. I said, that's a JC guy does that. He wrote me back, and he goes, Coach, that was really cool if you just tell me that. He said, I'm going to remember that from now on. When guys go to the JC, I'm going to mention them. I said, thank you. I didn't say anything about Jose.
Right.
I said about a Golden West guy because I thought that was a pretty cool thing.
Right.
Yeah. But I love baseball. I love it. I hate umpires that have tight strike zones. I'll tell you what. I like the clock.
You like the new rules?
I like the clock.
The bigger bag, guys are stealing more. You can only throw over twice.
I'm not so sure about the bag, but
do you like the throwing over only twice?
No.
To first?
Not so much.
Okay, but you like the clock. Speed it up?
Yeah. So if you have the clock, they're not going to do that because they're going to have to deliver. So you can make an adjustment on that. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that they're on the infield because everybody over here.
The shift.
I don't know how many. I think Machado probably set a record last year for the number of 5-3s from right field.
Right.
A base hit. So Muncie's better because of the change. I like baseball as it is. And we used to do that anyway. We'd pinch the middle, with
mm-hmm.
a guy, and so analytics are like tough. And I miss all the scouts.
Right.
Scouts were one day. This guy was Angel Figueroa was in a press box. And they didn't turn off the microphone. He was telling a joke.
Oh, boy.
And his joke, and Angel's dead now, so we'd have to worry about him and listen to this. But he was telling his joke, and he came up with this bomb and that bomb, and I'm coaching the third base, and I go, whoa. Angel. I come running in and I said, Angel. He goes, oh, Coach, they heard all those words before. And I said, love it. I love it.
What was it like having Gene come over from Cal State Fullerton to coach football?
Gene was a special guy. And Gene Murphy, he was special, okay? And when I say that, I mean that he cared about, his kids a lot, and he made me laugh. I told him we have to open up a door because his office was next door to mine.
Oh boy!
And I said we got to put a hole in here so we can talk. But he would say some things that I can't even repeat.
No.
And I'm going to tell you what I would go in there and I'd say, I'd point down here, and he'd go like, well, yeah, we know, that's good. But anyway, Gene was pretty good. The only thing that I think that he and Hal had a thing between them, because Hal had a great program, obviously, and then Cal State Fullerton had players that they would send back to the JC that weren't ready yet. But Coach would never send guys over to Coach Sherbeck. And Coach Sherbeck says, well, you send that guy to Cerritos, you send that guy to Mount Sac, don't send it over here. Okay. So Coach Sherbeck, they had a war.
Right. Sometimes his personalities don't mix.
Yeah, which was stupid for both of them, I mean, because the Hornets always had great players, and Murph's going to get him as a junior, who's played 2 years, started and be an All-American kind of guy.
Right.
And so then they had a kind of a conflict, but I loved them both.
Right.
Coach Sherbeck told me when he hired me, he says, no surprises. I said, yes, sir. And so what I did was I'd have a baseball camp, put it in the register, way in the back, about the 53rd page, about this big, it would say, Nick Fuscardo is having a baseball clinic for youngsters at Fullerton College. And I go, oh, crap, I forgot to tell Coach.
Did you ever feel there was a game you caused the win? Or, I'm sorry, you caused the loss? Like you did something pretty boneheaded as a coach? Like you just made a wrong call, or you left a guy in too long, or
probably.
Were there days like that where you're just like, damn, Nick, that was a bad day?
Yeah, there's days like that whenever you go, why did I leave him in? I should have hooked him. You have a feeling.
Yeah, the gut, right?
And a lot of managers have feelings. They go, I feel good about this.
What does that feel like? I've never coached. What does it feel like?
Well, it feels like Mitch Levere was an outfielder for me, really good. He signed pro contract. Scouts are here to see him. Hits a pop fly to right field, jogs to first, ticks me off. I went down. He came in the dugout. I said, "You tired? You sick? You tired? Are you hurt?" I said, there's half a dozen scouts over there looking for you, and you halfway walked to first base. I said, "Sit down." So I pulled him out of the game. I said, "We're not going to do that." So I put some other kid in. So guess what? This other kid comes up, hit the plate in the ninth inning. And so I go, "You know who's supposed to be up right now, Mitch? Do you know who's supposed to be up right now? You're supposed to be up right now. I got him up there now. You should be there. But no, you took yourself out of the game." And he was just put his head down. Kid hits a fly ball to right field. The kid lost it in the sun, dropped it, we win. I go, "You're lucky."
You're lucky, Mitch, because you almost cost me that damn game.
Yeah. But then, you do that. I had a kid that threw up in Long Beach. You remember the show Alf?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, his uncle was a producer of Alf.
Okay.
So he comes down to watch a game in Long Beach. He has one of those vans that has wine and cheese, and they're all drinking in there watching. And Brad Hopper's his name. And Brad, he ends up tying a record with Al Roboski for strikeouts. So he's in the seventh inning, and his pitch count's getting up there. I'm not a big pitch count guy. You didn't ask me that. But I'm not a big pitch count guy. I look for ball coming out of the hand. I look for the ball jumping out of his hand, not straining,
okay,
not laboring. And if he's doing that, I ask him, "How you feel?" "I feel good." And then I can tell whenever.
Doesn't everybody say that, though? I feel good.
Yeah, most people say it.
But you got to be able to read it.
Yeah, but I read it. Yeah, so here's Brad. I go out to. he gets two guys out and he walks the next two. So Rick Regal's is my pitching coach, and I said, I'm going to go get him. He goes, yeah, he's done. So I walk out to the mound, and he goes, Coach, what are you doing here? I'm finishing this in. I got this guy. And he was still throwing pretty good. I didn't have a problem with him laboring. I said, okay, Brad, I'm going to give you this guy, and that's it. So I go back to the dugout, strikes him out, comes back in. I'm not coming out, he says. And I said, so I looked at Rags, and Rags goes, it's up to you, And I said, I don't want to send you out there, but if you walk one guy, you're out, And I go out there and strikes out three guys. Comes off. Now we're going to go to the ninth. And I said, you're done. That's a great job. And he goes like, Coach, let me finish. I said, Brad, you've probably thrown about 125 pitches. I said, it's a lot of pitches. And he goes like, but he was still looking okay. Well, make a long story short, he goes back out, pitch coach, he goes like, I can't believe he talked you out of it. And I said, I know. I said, but I let him go. And he goes out and he gets 1, 2, 3, and then he go over, game over. Ties the strikeout record. Years go by. He comes to my golf tournament last year. Coach, you ruined my career. I said, I did? He goes, yes. He said, you made me throw like 140 pitches that day. I said, wait a minute. I made you throw those, man. I was going to hook you like 3 times. Yeah. So he goes, now he pitched for the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he ended up having arm trouble, but he had some other troubles too.
Don't all pitchers have arm troubles?
Yeah.
My God. Now, you say golf tournament. What golf tournament is this?
We have Fullerton College golf tournament. It's
Okay.
a fundraiser for Fullerton baseball, so it helps Chad Baum and the Hornets get road trip, meal money, uniforms, T-shirts.
When's normally the golf tournament?
We have that usually in January.
Is that just an excuse for you to actually go out and play golf?
Well, I don't know if you can call it that, but I usually, like what I do is usually I'll go out and I'll get a cart and I'll cruise around to everybody and it really hurt my feelings. I said, hey, you want me to chip for you? And they go, no, we got this, Coach. I go, come on, I can chip, and they laugh. But
You
anyway,
were my favorite class in college.
see?
Yes.
I know, I love
Little La Brea golf course.
it. Yeah, that's
We meet there twice a week.
legendary. We do have those, if I may mention. Susan and I, we started up a Nick Fuscardo family scholarship.
Okay.
Yes, we dropped a few bucks in the program, and
What do you have to do to be eligible for the scholarship money?
well, you get play on a baseball team.
Okay.
I don't care if you're a freshman or sophomore. Usually we give it to sophomores because they're going the next year, and we started up the Mike Scoba scholarship too.
Okay.
And those kids now that they're playing after their sophomore year, I'll go to coach and I'll let him pick it, and I'll say, who you got? And he'll say, Matt Brown. I said, all right, Matt's going to be our guy. So Matt he gets a check, depending on how much we have in there. Now, we dropped in at about $15,000,
Okay.
And so when you get, and it comes to like not much, because they only take so much. It's a perpetual scholarship. So the more is in there, the more the kid gets. So
Sure.
We're hoping that people will, look for a tax write-off and donate to the Fullerton College baseball
Every little
Nick
bit
Fuscardo
helps.
scholarship.
Yeah.
And then that would be cool, and so I just like helping the kids out, and so, I'll go to the ball games. You see me go in the press box,
yeah.
and I'll be sitting there and I'll get hungry or something. So I'll run down and I'll buy about 3 or 4 pizzas for the kids in there that are charting and stuff, and I get me a chicken bowl. I buy Scotch Owls can eat anything, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so
Deep or any of those guys.
yeah.
Did you have some players during your time where you felt like more of a connection? They were really special in a
Yes.
way, or maybe they needed a father figure, or did you have guys run through your career like that?
Yeah. You always have those guys. You have some guys that are needy. They need you to really believe in them, and it's amazing. We talk about psychological hitting and stuff like that. A coach is so important to his team, and to some individuals, extremely important. I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about every coach.
Right.
And what a kid does when he's struggling, the worst thing you can possibly do to him is just ignore him and walk by him. That kid comes to the dugout and he hits a bullet, and he hasn't hit a bullet for a week. He needs you to go up and say, "Atta boy, I knew that. I knew you have that in you. You're going to be okay now. And that does wonders for that guy, and I'm not a psychologist, but being a coach, you are. You're a
right.
You're a father. You're a mother. And you are a mother sometimes. And you are a psychologist,
therapist,
a psychiatrist.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus.
You do it all. And if you can't do that, I don't think you last very long. And you got to love the game. John Altobelli, who unfortunately died in a helicopter collision crash with Kobe, my phone rang off the hook, and they said, "Did you hear about John?" And I go, "John who? Alto? What happened?" He said, he got killed in a helicopter. I said, he was with Kobe. With Kobe, I didn't know the
relationship, with the daughters, yeah.
And I said, so I tried to call Tony, his brother, and of course that you couldn't get a hold of anybody,
Right.
And then it's on the TV and all that, and I said, Alto. And then they found out what that was all about, and my heart was broken, His dad was awesome because every time we played Orange Coast, being Italian, his dad, they're Italian.
Sure.
He'd come in my dugout. He goes, "Hey, Paisan," and we'd talk, and I'd say, "Kumba." And so we'd talk about it, and he goes, "Here, I got something. I have them. I should have brought one out." He'd give me a John F. Kennedy 50-cent piece, And he said, "This is for good luck." And I said, Thanks, Jim, I appreciate it. And so I put it in my pocket, and we beat him. And so the next year we'd go down there, and he'd give me one again, and we beat him. And so so it was like, you go down there twice this year and once next year. So then the next time we went down there, I said, "Where's your dad? He ain't coming, and he's not giving you any good luck things."
He's on a fixed income. He can't keep affording this.
Oh, yeah. He used to tell me whenever I was younger, he said, "You got to come down and play bocce ball with my club."
Oh, yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I'll do that sometime, Jim,
Would you do it all over again?
All over.
No changes?
Nope. I do the same thing. I do the same thing. Because for me it was, if I'd been horrible as a person and as a coach, I would have had second thoughts. But I think that one of the things I learned from my family, I learned to respect and always be loving, because you don't know who's going to need that, And I think like my mom, my dad, they taught us the right thing to do, And my dad used to come down to my games, and he'd come to the game in the summer. So he comes in the dugout, "Hey, Nicky, you got a helmet? I'll pass the hat." I go, "Dad, we don't do that here." And he goes like, "Give me the goddamn helmet, let's see. Here you go get him, Dad." So he'd come back with $100. And I go, "What'd you get?" He said, "You got to do that every day. You got $100. And I said, "You're hired."
You're the CFO.
My dad was glad. Back east, they do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know all those games on the coal miner leagues and stuff. Yeah, so it's cool stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it says a lot about your character that you were able to make that decision in your career, that you weren't going to try to chase glory, and that you were going to try to make a difference in a community, whether it was at, teaching the kids and on the baseball level. Because you could have gone and said, "Okay, I'll go with Augie." It doesn't work out. Something happens. He gets fired, whatever. He moves.
Could've.
And then next thing you know, you're at, Arizona State. And then you're at San Diego. And then you're at UTEP. And all of a sudden, you and Susan are traveling, zigzagging all over the country, dragging the kids everywhere.
Yeah, that's not what I wanted.
And you know how many assistant coaches have done that.
Oh, yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands of them.
Yeah. There's a guy named Sergio Garcia.
Yeah, I know Sergio.
You know Sergio?
Yeah.
I love Sergio. He came over and said, "Coach, I want to come coach for you." I said, "I want you here." Well, Cypress, he went over and talked to them, and they offered him more money than I could offer him.
Right.
So I lost him. But here's a good example of what you just said. Sergio's been everywhere. He's been Arizona State, San Diego State. Where's he now?
I can't keep track.
He was at Arizona.
Yeah.
He's a good coach.
Yeah. But you get bounced around because
Yeah.
coaches come and go, and
Yeah.
athletic directors, and
Yeah, I couldn't do that, and that's a hard life.
yeah.
And that's the thing with Chad. Chad had a hard life, man, because he had his kids, and man,
Yep.
I love my kids. And I love seeing my daughters.
Every other weekend you're on the road. on the road. You're at Davis, you're at wherever chasing.
Tough.
And that's if you stay in the Big West or Pac-12. God, if you're in other parts of the country, you're zigzagging everywhere.
Yeah, then he's got
recruiting.
Yeah, he's got to get a plane and go recruit, and he said,
you're at tournaments in the off season. Mm-hmm. You're in Vegas, you're in Arizona for 4 or 5 days.
If you're single and you got, let's go,
How do you even date or be early in a marriage with that kind of lifestyle?
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. See, I give my wife, I got really lucky. She is just unbelievable because she, I was out recruiting and I was out scouting and we played night games, we took road trips, we went to, not nearly as much as Cal, the Division I, but my wife she took care of my kids. She raised my kids, and I never came home. Never one time did I ever come home ticked off because we had a tough loss. Because as soon as I walk in this door, there's my babies, and it was like they just made my heart full, and so that was important. And I knew that they were in good hands, And then I got a chance to coach my son Joey. We spent a summer together coaching the Fullerton Stingers. We played at the softball field. We went to the World Series. We went down to Cooperstown. We had 7 guys who went to the big leagues off our club team. We were really good. And so for Joey, it was like, I look back, I tell him, that was the greatest years of my life, Joe, hanging out with you. And my daughters always make them, they go like, I said, whenever we sell this house, I'm not selling it, I'm giving it to Joey. They go, where are your daughters? I said, you both got beautiful homes. I got to take care of my boy. He said, I knew you liked him more than me. I said, I didn't. I love you guys. That.
I love you guys, just not as much as Joey. Yeah. Nothing personal.
And Joey's down in Kyle, Texas right now, and they're opening up a brewery.
Oh, God.
And there's no brewery in town, so I think his future looks bright.
That's good.
Yeah, so.
What do you have next? What's on the Nick schedule?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm doing is I'm going to be on the airplane a lot in the next couple of months. Friday, I'm flying back to Pittsburgh. We're going to go back and honor one of our coaches we had back at West Liberty.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a barbecue for him, and I said, hey, I got a good flight price. So I said, I'm going to go back. My wife goes, go. I said, I don't know how to take that, but anyway, so I'm going to go back, and we're going to, in fact, I'm going in Friday. I leave here Friday afternoon. I'll be Friday noon, and I'll get there like at 8 o'clock night. And then his deal's on Saturday. And then Sunday got nothing going on. Monday got on a plane and come home.
Not bad.
That's good.
How's the golf game?
I'm playing off the front tees now.
Ooh.
Because I'm older. And I lost that long drive I used to hit. It's in here somewhere.
Does it show up occasionally?
Every once in a while I bust one, I think it's in the boiler.
I think it's hidden away.
It gets in the way, you got to, boom. Yeah, so, yeah, but I have a lot of fun. I go over there early. I work at the golf course at Coyote Hills, beautiful golf club.
What do they have you do?
I'm a ambassador.
Ambassador.
Used to be called ranger.
Uh-huh. So
Matter of fact, one day some lady says, Mr. Ambassador? And I said, wait a minute. Did you call me Mr. Ambassador? I said, that's the coolest thing anybody's ever called me. So it's really kind of cool. We drive around, you say hello to people, and, they say, hey, those people are slow up ahead. And I said, I'll go try to help them out. But I'll tell you what, they both paid the same much money you paid, and so, but I'll get them going. They said, oh, thanks, I appreciate it. I can find golf balls, I give them away. It's cool stuff.
Not a bad life for a guy who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I know. That was really, really kind of cool. That was cool. That was, like I said, it was like a dream come true, all the good guys in there and the guys that aren't in there yet, that should be. So.
You started, your first year, Ronald Reagan's in office. Who would have thought years later?
I never looked at that way, did
I? Ronald Reagan and you started at the same time. You guys started at the same time, and you get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Was that shocking? Was that really like thinking, when you think like, you were not thinking that in 1981?
I never.
You just
never
wanted a
thought-
job.
I just never thought of it.
Right.
You're right. Back whenever you start, all right, I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame. I never think of that. I'm thinking about I'm trying to beat Sunny Hills. I was trying to beat Fullerton. I was trying to beat Santa Ana and Cypress, and
Teach health and, and driving.
I had, the toughest losses that we've had, is
Do those sink in more, the losses?
oh yeah, one that,
Why is that?
well, the loss to Cypress in the Final Four championship game was like killer. They couldn't do anything wrong. They played the best game. We'd already beaten them. I think we beat them 3 out of 4 down here, and then we go up there, and we both win against the northern teams, and then we play, and we got a barn burner, and they beat us, and then we eliminated the other north team and played them, and they couldn't do anything wrong. It was a tough deal because it was going to be really hard, because you go into those 4 game tournaments, you got to have enough pitching.
Right.
And we lost Troy Mulcahy. He came down with an elbow, and he was able to hit for us, and he couldn't pitch. Missed him. We have him. We win it. And then we had a little guy from Cyprus. And he had some issues at home, and
Is it when those things happen, like there's nothing you can really do. They're playing, over their heads. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're just trying to manage the game and just try to do what you can do.
yeah.
That happens, right?
Yeah, it happens. It's amazing. A couple of coolest things that happened was wins. Was we beat Saddleback at Fullerton, 25-24,
Jesus.
and so they called the score into the paper, and I get a call from Randy Youngman, and Randy says, "Nick, tell me about the 25-24," and I said, "Yeah," and he says, 25, how many innings did you go? I go, 9. He goes, 9 innings, 25-24. I said, yes. He said, oh my God. And so I told him about the game, and it ended up where we come out and we beat him in the bottom of the 9th with 3 laser bombs, went boom, 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 3 doubles, and we win. It was crazy. Those games happen in Arizona in the wind. Mm-hmm. If the wind blows, and you never know.
Nothing you can do.
Yeah, so we won that game.
Guy hits a pop-up, boom, it's a bomb.
Home run. And then you play at Cypress, and they got that short left field fence. And I can't tell you, there and it's Santa Ana, they got the short fences. You got a fly ball over there, and you go, I got a guy there, and you go, nope, guess not. And then we have some losses. We had a loss one time in Santa Ana where we got the lead in the bottom of the 9th inning. They got tie and run on 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. And we throw a breaking ball, strike 3, boom. Had a baby. My catcher's running out. Their guy's walking to the dugout, and Larry Silverman was the umpire, and he goes, ball. And I said, and next pitch, the guy hits a double, and we lose. That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Because it had nothing to do.
Nothing
Game
we
should have
could
been
do,
over.
Yeah.
Game should have been over. We should never had to make that pitch. He said, well, if you'd made a better pitch. No, if you'd have called the strike, it was a strike. Everybody, their dugout was going, and
What advice do you have for parents who have kids playing baseball?
oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I'm glad you touched on it. My advice is it's a hard time. It's a hard time for coaches because mom and dad. Dad thinks that Junior's going to be in the big leagues, and he's not. Junior's not going to make the high school team, but not according to Dad. Dad's got money. He drops that in, and I'm telling you, this is what's happening, And so he helps the boosters, and the principal likes it because he's, committing to their programs. But Dad's going to let the kid alone. The kid can either play or he can't play. They get lessons. They spend big bucks, thousands and thousands of dollars on bats and sliding pad, Seriously? Anyway.
just stuff. That
Lessons,
Yeah.
and
travel balls. They're all over the country.
unbelievable. Steve Trombley's a millionaire. He's got like Arizona and California club teams, and Cy Petro's got they got a club, and I mean they're all over. They're all over the country. You're right. Garcia Parra, I know Michael. We played his team his team, and his son is a catcher. He's a beast.
So what do you tell the parents? Just relax.
I just tell the parents, it's all up to him. It's not up to you. If the kid doesn't want to play, don't make him play. Because all you're gonna do is just screw the kid up more. It's not the umpire's fault. Umpire's the umpire.
Right.
And everybody, it's the same thing. The kid can only control the things that are within his control. Swinging the bat. Nobody else can do that but you. Swing the bat. You take 3 strikes, strike 3, and you're out. Did you swing? Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So teach them to be aggressive. Talk to your kid. When I got, like I said, when I got cut from high school, I told you my dad said, "So what are you going to do?" My dad, he's not going to run up to the principal's office and say, "Your coach cut my son." My dad's never going to do that. It's all on me. And this is a world. It's a tough world. There's no freebies out there. So just because you have some money, doesn't make you any more important than I am, And so I just think that parents got to back off a notch and have fun. Let the kids have fun. The Little League is still, no, I can't tell you that. I was going to say the Little League is still fun. The Little League is daddy ball.
Is that what you see with
yeah.
your grandkids?
Yeah. The daddies, they picked the all-star team for the Golden Hill. I think they picked the all-star team in like about 3 months ago. They all met someplace, and this all. I go, how do you do that? How about this Jimmy kid over here, he's just wearing out pitchers, and he's really good. Oh, you didn't pick him. You better pick him because he's one of the best players in the league, And so I think that parents, and I don't know if they do that, in earnest, but they sit and talk about who they're
Sure, they
gonna
want
pick.
their kid on it.
Yeah. So Jimmy's a pitcher, and he starts. And if he doesn't start him out, he starts somewhere else, but he doesn't sit. And these other kids sit. I think that the Little League is where you have to teach them how to play, and I mean, I got hooked into coaching Little League a couple of years ago, and I'll tell you, it's fun, but it's like painful whenever you see.
I can see the look on your face, like it's like passing kidney stones.
Exactly. It's like, why did you go? I don't know. Okay, that's a good question.
Good response. Yeah.
Good response. Yeah, it's like they make you laugh, and,
Well, they're kids.
yeah. I told a kid one day, this kid was about this tall as this chair. He swings at a pitch over his head, and I go, time out. I go, Desmond. He goes like, yes, sir. I said, if you swing at a pitch like that again, Des, I'm going to kill you, Desmond. And I was sitting right in front of the bench where all the moms and dads could hear. They were wetting their pants, they were laughing. And I said, Desmond, don't swing at that pitch. You can't hit that pitch. He goes, okay. He just goes back in and like,
Yeah. Okay, Mr.
yeah, so it's a blast.
Okay, Coach Fuscardo.
Yeah. But I had kids in high school and college where you'd be going, hold up. You're out.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the game, and you have to deal with it. And, parents don't have to be part of it. And I'll tell you this, there was a kid at the high school, the first year I was coaching. And I had a rule. My rule was if you miss practice the day before, I'm not starting you the next day. He was starting center fielder for me. He missed his practice the day before a CIF game. His dad calls me, Coach. He said, The kid's okay. He'll be there tomorrow. He's ready to play. I said, good. Good. So we'll be able to use him then. He goes like, oh, yeah. So he comes the next day, and I don't start him. Because, Matt, that's my rule. Is it right? I don't know. Was it right to have that kid get a haircut? No, not today. It doesn't matter what your hair looks like. But at that time, that's when it was like clean. Everybody was clean,
Right.
So then I'd be coming down the hill. I had a Volkswagen. I'd come down the State College Hill, coming to Troy. And some guy, beep, beep. I'm looking. He's waving at me. I go, the hell was that, So then next day I'm coming down the hill. Beep, beep. Hey. So we'd pass the same time because I'd have to go to class like it. And so now this time I'm looking for him. I see him. I said, it was my outfielder's dad. Yeah. So I don't start him in the playoff game. Next day, coming down the hill. Oh.
No beep beep.
No beep beep. And I go, okay.
See how it is.
Yeah. See, and a coach is like, it's a fabulous occupation, but what you can't do is you can't have thin skin.
Yeah.
And you can't have rabbit ears. Because if you do, it's going to wear you out. I never hear the stands. And I really don't care what they say.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter because they never enter into my mind as far as lineup or changes or who start. Never. It never does it. So one day Susan came home. It was the first year I was coaching. I'm really angry. I said, what's wrong? She said, at the game today. And she says, parents were saying, how come coach starts him? How come he doesn't start this guy? And they're all, I said, honey, I never even hear those people. And I don't care what they say. Don't worry about it. And she goes, I know. But it made me angry. I said, it's okay.
Don't worry about it, dear. I got better things to deal with.
You think that Nevin cares anything about? He's just doing his deal, and if they don't like it, tough.
That's it.
Hey, he made a good comment today. I heard on the show. They said that he said that in the Southern League they're using a baseball that's the players say it's like hitting a wiffle ball. I said, what? In the ball's sticky, or it's like
in the SEC?
No, the Southern League.
Oh, the Southern League.
Pro League.
Okay.
And so it feels sticky. He said, like, they're not doing a favor to the kids that are prospects. They're trying to come up there, and they're Major League Baseball does some things, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, they can't control what they're getting their balls. That's the thing. I mean, baseball, it's very controlled.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get anywhere else, you don't know what they're getting in the Dominican or in Mexico or anywhere else.
It's great. It's crazy stuff. I don't know, but.
Well, I'm glad you got into baseball. I'm sure you made a lot of people really happy. Probably one or two you didn't make so happy.
Absolutely.
But that's okay.
It's okay. Doesn't matter.
You had the time of your life.
Yeah, I did. And Augie Greedo taught me one thing for sure. Another thing was.
What's that?
He said, Fusky, it just doesn't matter. In the long run, whenever something comes up, it doesn't matter. You just move on with your life.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was pretty significant, and so. But I care about people, and I want to make them happy, and I've had a blessed life. I mean, it's like I couldn't ask for anything. That's why I told somebody. I said, I was going to sign with the Giants. I was playing for the Giant rookies,
Mm-hmm.
and George Genovese was the scout. And Tommy Smith was the manager. Tommy had 1 year like this,
Right.
Just kind of scary. So I'm playing for the Giant rookie team, and I'm having a really good year. It's guys that are signable guys, and so I figured I'm going to big leagues. So I told Tommy I'm going to big leagues. So he goes like, "Think so?" I said, "Yeah, I know so." So we're playing up at Casey Stengel Field, and so after a game, we played the Philadelphia Phillies rookie team. And they had Gary Sutherland and another Sutherland, his brother. One was pitched for the Phillies, and I got a couple knocks off of him. I stole a couple bases. And then the other one was Gary, and I forget the other guy's name. So I had a good day, So go back, do it down in the locker room, and I'm getting changed. And Tommy says, "Hey, Mr. Genovese wants to see you." I said, "Okay." I said, "Hi, Mr. Genovese." He goes, "Hey, Nick, how you doing?" He said, "Tommy tells me you want to be a pro." I said, "I'll go in the big leagues, Mr. Genovese." He said, "Oh, I'd like that." And he goes, "I like the way you play." I said, "You do?" He goes, "Yeah." And he says, "In fact, I want to give you an offer. I want to sign you." "You're going to sign me?" I said, "Oh my God." I said, "Geez." He goes, "Yeah, I'm prepared to give you $3,500. We're talking 1961. I was making $1.12 at Woody's Smorgasburger. And I go, $3,500? That's like the world. I could buy a house. And so I almost could.
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh my God." He said, your dad's going to have to sign for you because at that time you had to be 21. So I said, "Oh, my dad will sign you."
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Because he always wants me to get a job anyway, buy your own car. So anyway, I go home. My dad was working at a steel mill. He comes home, and I said, "Pop," I said, "I got some great news." He goes, "What's up?" I said, "Mr. Genovese is the scout for the Giants."
I can only imagine what your father's thinking.
And he wants to sign me. He goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What kind of money is he going to give you, son?" I said, $3,500. Dad, $3,500. I said, "Wow." He goes, "That's a lot of money." I said, "I know." He goes, "Well, I'm not going to sign for you." And I said, "Huh? Why?" He goes, "Because you're going to be the first Fuscardo that's going to graduate from college." I said, "Dad, I promise you I'll go to college." I said, "I'll come." He says, "Nope." And so he wouldn't sign for me. So I had to call Mr. Genovese up, and I said, "Mr. Genovese," he goes, "Is this Nick Fuscardo?" He said, "Hi, Nick." And I said, "Mr. Genovese, my dad, he's not going to sign for me. He says that he wants me to be the first Fuscardo to graduate from college." He goes, "You tell your dad he's a very smart man." Because really, I might have gone out and played. I would have had a chance to play a year, 2 years.
Maybe a year, maybe two.
And then
cut your butt in a heartbeat and
I'd
move
be
on to
back.
the next guy.
I'd be in the mill with my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad did not ever want me to do that. And I said, so then my life, as we talked earlier, and I said, here I am. I got a beautiful family. I got a great wife. I had the job of my dreams. I met so many. Tommy Lasorda was one of my good friends. I love Tommy Lasorda. Sparky Anderson, I met. I mean, Gary Carr, just think of the people. Coach
Right, yeah.
Hal Scherbeck and Jeff Sanchez, all these awesome guys that, I would never have met you guys. Who knows where I'd have been? I might have been in Vietnam. Boom. So I've been blessed with my life, and I only say thank you to Hal. We miss Hal. I missed him a lot.
Right.
So there.
You had a lot of good times with Hal, right? Those early years,
Yes. He told me one day, we were struggling. You can't. You're not going to win every year because it's just not going to happen.
Right.
So we had some really good years, and we had some years or down years. And they kill you. Because, you play 40 games and you win 11. And you go. And then you're in and you lose some games that you should have won, but you didn't have enough, whatever. And so it's a war. It's a war of attrition. Who can last longer.
Mm-hmm.
But it was great. It was a great deal. But I went in to see Hal. I said, Hal, Coach, I said, it was after a game. I took a shower and I walked down. He goes, sit down. So I sat in his office. So, Coach, I said, I'm stymied. I've tried everything. I don't know what to do. And he said, did I tell you this, Ernie?
No.
He says, Nick, he loved baseball. He loved baseball more than he loved football, I think. He'd come out and stand on the left side of the press box. I didn't see him, unless I was looking for him. Then I'd see him over there. He'd watch practice, and he'd sit out there and watch us practice. And he'd come out and watch a few innings of the baseball game. He said, I come out and watch you practice, and I watch you play. He said, don't change a thing. He says, you're doing everything right. And I go, here's the greatest football coach in America telling me that I'm doing everything right. And I mean, we're struggling. And I was dumbfounded by that. I thought, and it just picked me up 100%. And
Right.
And so like I said, then you go back out the next day and say, all right, we're not going to worry about anything. We're going one at a time for the rest of one day at a time. So that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it.
Well, I'm glad we met.
That's awesome.
I'm glad you're a 2-time Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You got over 600 wins. You've had quite a career. You've affected a lot of people in a great way.
Well, thank you. It has been just unbelievable pleasure.
Yeah.
I think I can count on. There's some guys that, probably thought I didn't play him and don't like me, but
That's life. But that's how it's supposed to be. You're not Mother Teresa. I mean, she's got some people I think that she did a half-assed job.
jeez.
Not you, though.
Father Teresa.
Nick, thank you for your time. This has been great.
Thank you, Matt. This has been a pleasure. I've always seen these things going on, and
Your first podcast, it wasn't so bad.
not so bad. I don't know. Was it okay?
It was great. Now, do you think you're going to get in the Hall of Fame a third time anywhere else?
I think so.
Okay, well, if you do, we'll do another podcast again on the third one.
I say that because, and not that maybe I won't.
Your high school, you never know. Have they called yet?
Yeah, they just started one up.
Oh,
so
well, there you go.
that might happen.
There might be part 2, but
And then West Liberty.
in West Liberty.
There's a chance. One of the old coaches said, "You need to be in there." I said, "We're not going to. We don't worry about that." And then I was in the California State High School Coaches Ball Hall of Fame. That was cool. And I'd really like to get into is the California Community College Baseball Hall of Fame. That's the one with Wally Kincaid,
Right.
and Mike Scoba, and Fred Hoover, and
Well, if anybody, knows anybody, let's make a call and make it happen.
out there. That'd be kind of cool, though. But yeah, but it's like I said, I would. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. I'm good.
You're the best, Nick.
Thanks, Al. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Nick. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button and become a subscriber to the podcast. Remember to follow the Just a Good Conversation podcast on Instagram, and you can find all of our past shows on the website at justagoodconversation.com. Thank you for listening.